especially in Targaryen and Greyjoy.
Right. This was one of the last agendas printed in first edition. It was very impactful then, but the cost curve, like you really had to search for kind of expensive cards, right, Aaron? If I remember correctly.
Um,
Um,
they were there, but they were bad in almost every house.
right, and it was designed. The agenda was designed to push those cards, right? But the secret of second edition, that I think one of the things we can learn about second edition is the game doesn't need to push six or higher characters anymore, right? Um, so this is a weird agenda to be in this pack. I agree with what you said there. I think immediately like Greyjoy Aloof becomes the immediate tier one deck. I think this solves like what this is basically a Great Hall every turn.
Yeah, yeah.
So and it means you don't have to eat up econ spot, and it sort of solves Greyjoy's problems. So that means your restricted card doesn't need to be that Great Hall anymore, and you can get that same effect from your agenda. And because Greyjoy has so many saves, like you aren't going to be playing the cost as much. And one of the things that maybe if you didn't know the play patterns of prized in first edition is actually prized for the beginning of the game was not a drawback. It could actually be a benefit.
Right.
Because you're putting power on your opponent's house to steal. And sometimes one of the strategies, right, against Greyjoy, particularly fast Greyjoy decks, is simply don't put power on your house card because they have nothing to steal, and that slows them down. But now, of course, they have a way through their aggressive valor, for things like that, for your military claim, to put power on your house card, and that just creates, I think, additional like good play patterns for them. And so I think this is like an A agenda. I don't think it's S. Do you think it's S?
Well, I think it's S.
You
But
think it's S?
prized is not a drawback unless you ran a lot of it. I definitely won a game with the first Black Order where I think I got 11 of my 15 power from my opponent's prized, just by like I realized his entire deck was prized and I just choice killed it or choice removed it in order to get as much power as possible. And I definitely won a game based entirely on that. I want to say against Rowan, but I could be making that last part up. It's been like 7 years. Um, I think you're underestimating how good this is going to be in Targaryen. I think you're underestimating how good everything's in Targaryen. But the Targ box had a few extra six cost characters that are hard to fit, and with this,
All
it's
those
just not
dragons.
really a concern. I mean, the dragons. I believe the guy who searches your deck is six, which I'm literally checking right now.
Which guy is that?
Um,
Is that the woman? The guy's a.
the one that goes to get there's that card that goes to get a bunch of six costers, right?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
So Danny Drogon Rhaegal Viserion Drogo, which we already knew, and Galazza which is the one when you marshal, it's just the top 10 dark cards of your deck for either a character with six or higher or three with two or lower. If you can
Right,
just
right, right.
you can play Galazza for six, or sorry, for
For
four, and then
four.
go get something to play for four the next turn.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid. Plus, the 18 other tar cards. There's also Lysa Arryn, who becomes way more playable with this.
She does become way more playable. I still think she's a little underrated or overrated rather. Um, but
I don't think she's necessarily great. I just think she's great with that agenda.
right. And I think right prize is one of those mechanics that until it's like the 13th or 14th or 15th power, it is not a drawback. Right. That's like one of those
Yeah.
things like milling yourself, that it's not necessarily always intuitive and it takes a little bit of experience. But that's what you really got to look at a lot of these cards. And we just saw this recently with the faux prized of Desert Raider, because Desert Raider was a prize card
Yeah.
in first edition. So basically, for the people who have played against that card, I think any competitive Game of Thrones player has played against Desert Raider at some point now. Like that's going to be very similar play patterns. All right, so we got an A for me and an S for Glazer for this card. Um, Anything else you want to add about Aloof and Apart?
The art was bad in
This
first edition and still remains bad.
It is literally the same.
It's like,
So
uh, yeah, it's a claw over the moon, which I
I mean,
would assume is the House Aaron sigil. I don't really know.
yeah, like I mean, there's another weird thing, right? Because there's this weird shoehorned in theme at the end of first edition of like House Aaron cards costing more.
Yeah,
Um, that's not really present. So like the art doesn't make any sense really in the context of second edition. So like I'm gonna give the art an F.
oh, I'm not rating art, but
I
it's
know
not
I'm gonna do that.
you have
Sometimes I am gonna have fun. Thank you. Dark Wings, Dark Words is our second agenda. This is designed by 2001 Melee World Champion Corey Faraday. This is not the drama.
Wait, time out. Before we go on,
Yes.
2001 and Melee World Champion Corey Faraday will apparently be at Worlds and playing Thrones.
I
So that's very exciting.
That is very exciting. You'll probably be able to commentate one of his matches because we didn't talk about that at the front of the
Oh, yeah.
show. But Aaron Glazer is going to be one of the commentators at the day Saturday Sunday, so day
Saturday and Sunday, 1B
1B
and
and
day 2, the
day
cut.
2 of the cut, which is really exciting for Aaron. So congratulations, Aaron. We're all
Yeah,
very proud of you.
I feel like I've already won Worlds because I don't have to play in this meta.
That's fair. But we will also see you. I have booked my flight and I got a hotel room for Glazer and myself. So we will all be there. It's going to be really exciting. I am really sad, actually, that we won't get to play about these cards, but we'll probably get into Glazer and I being much more bullish on this pack than I think a lot of the Facebook group and maybe a lot of people in the chat. But let me get to reading about Corey's agenda. This is the Corey agenda that I think we've talked about in so many White Book episodes about maybe coming back. So it feels really good for it to be here. So you have your minimum deck size is 75 cards. You cannot include more than one copy of each event by title in your deck. Reaction: after you play an event, draw one card. Limit 3 times per round. This, I will say, is an S tier agenda. I think it's actually a little bit better than Aloof and Apart. Because have you played Valerian Steel, Glazer?
It's literally the only agenda I've played since it came out.
And this is just Valerian Steel with a card type that
is slightly worse given the context.
It's slightly worse given the context, but is slightly more flexible.
Yes, that's fair. I'm looking through events as we speak. I'm actually going to go back and just look through
and there's a lot more zero cost events. That's the other thing that's important to remember. There are zero cost attachments.
Yes, there are many more, but the lack of reuse is a big difference.
Correct. Well, but you know what your restricted card could be in Darkwing Stark words?
Annals for
Annals,
which should have never been printed. I would like to just look at neutral cards, please. I'm literally just looking up neutral cards to go, oh my god, this is absurd. So, a quick sampling of cards that you can run one of off to Gulltown, which now draws 2 cards. On a Misty Morn, not terrible. Dornishman's Wife. Oh wait, no, that's restricted, right?
Dornishman's Wife is restricted, I believe. Yes.
Last of the Giant, Song of the Seven, whatever. Bribery seems good.
Seems good, yeah.
Burning the Dead's probably not worth it. Although this,
I don't know, Burning the Dead's fine.
Not a terrible.
You draw 2 cards, don't you?
Burning the Dead is a draw 2 cards, yeah.
So, I mean, it's get rid of their dead pile plus draw a card.
Defiance, Dissension, nothing great here. Forgotten by History. I'd probably throw one of in this. If you're running Maesters, you run Healing Expertise.
Hey, and if we learn one thing from our friend Kyle Vansel, you should definitely run Maesters in a Darkwing Stark.
Yeah, Lay Siege and Lay Waste.
Yeah, they're both 1 gold answer cards that now become cantrips.
Yeah.
So.
Nightmares, obviously. Poison Coin, obviously.
But, well, Poison Coin, not maybe. Obviously, gotta have a critical mass of shadows. But Tears of Liss is super busted at Darkwings. Kill your dude, draw a card. Cool.
Quiet as a shadow.
2 for 1.
Buttless Assault almost certainly gets in there.
Yeah. Draw a card, get extra challenges. It's pretty good.
Dragon's Tail is restricted, I believe.
Yes, Dragon's Tail is definitely restricted.
Base Decree if you have 7. Jonesy's card with plus a draw.
Jonesy's card plus a draw is really good.
Tithe isn't terrible.
No, because you get 2 gold, right? But you have to be running enough neutral characters, but it's still pretty solid.
Words are when you're not running still, because that's terrible. Not as many good neutrals I'd like there to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
there's plenty in faction, but not as good.
So what stands out to you? So of factions that this immediately wants to go in, Martell.
I feel like this wants to be in Martell. It wants to be in Tyrell.
Tyrell definitely. I mean, it has one of the zero cost events, and one of the best zero cost events in the deck in first edition, which is Gift of Arbor Red, which was called Much and More in first edition.
Nice Watch may want it, although I think they probably still want attachments more. I mean, kind of everyone but Barra.
I mean, Barra has some decent events. It has Nazis. It has which is
I mean,
uh, Seen in Flames, and then it has the cancel. It has the thing that gets rid of military challenges.
that's true. That's
Like
true.
Barra has some pretty decent events. It has the Neil event. What's it called?
Yeah, there's probably redundancy if you run Relore. It's just a lot of the events trigger off Relore.
Yeah, I mean, but the Relore cards are pretty good. Like that's the one thing Andros has definitely shown. Like I
Yeah,
mean, there could be. I mean, but you do become 75 cards and you give up the cohort stuff. But there could be some kind of shell that you could play. Because like, definitely Valerian Steel has shown this, and I think we were right. I think we said this when we reviewed Valerian Steel that it's these are mid-range agendas, right? You just find the
yeah.
best 61 cards, maybe 65 cards, and then slap 10 to 15 events on top of it, or in the case of Valerian Steel, uh, uh, um, attachments, right? Like I mean, and it was the same thing in first edition, right? If you look at the deck that Jakob won Worlds with, if you look at the Kyle, the best deck in any card game ever, Stark Darkwings, like these were just mid-range, good stuff decks that you just slapped this very powerful agenda and card draw on top of. Excuse me. And I think that's what we're going to see here. That's why I give it S tier over, Aloof and Apart, which is like Great Hill Hall, the agenda. I think
I
that
just
just,
so
yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
looking through events. Like, right, I'm on Night's Watch. I just don't think there's as many as I thought there were.
Fair. But I mean, what about Tyrell?
Uh, sure. Let's hit Terrell.
Tyrell's got the Strength Pump. It has its own the New Much and More. It has the Economy event. It has what are some other good events?
Oh, type
They
event
have
search. So Terrell has
a Gift
a
of Arbor
Rose of
Red,
Gold,
a Rose of
a
Gold.
Rose
That's
of
pretty
Gold.
good. But that's
Uh,
restricted, isn't it?
Re- I don't. I
Is
have
Rose of
no
Gold
idea.
restricted?
I don't think so.
It,
Lord Renly's Ride.
that's good.
Uh, Not running six maids in a pool.
That's definitely restricted, right? That's the
I don't. A
that's
draw
the
from
draw one. Yeah,
Lilies.
yeah, yeah.
Fair and Maiden Fair, which definitely goes for zero. Gift of
Definitely
Arbor
goes.
Red.
Definitely goes.
Um, all men are. Yeah, Terrell really wants this.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
can
there's
go through everything. Terrell just like everything in Terrell fits. So the problem with Night's Watch and I think probably Barrett is how tribal they are is concerned
yeah, that's fair.
because it severely limits your deck. Uh, Targ, I'm assuming, is fine and wants it because Targ wants everything. Targ just has the
I mean,
best.
Target also
Value.
has a lot of really good events, and it has a lot of good like marginal events that we thought would see more play that didn't,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So when you can only
Uh,
want one Dracaris, Incinerate looks a lot better, right?
right.
And particularly when you're
Stark,
drawing extra cards.
Stark, I don't think will want it.
Well, I mean, Stark has some decent events.
Uh,
It's got the card
Not
you
a, like,
hate, the
it's
card
got
I permanently associate with Derek. Um,
Wolf Dreams isn't terrible with this. Not great. Then you have to run crap. So the problem again is that there's a reasonable amount of wolf based cards, and you don't really want to run wolves because they're bad, unless your name is Browns.
oh, sweet. Rose is not restricted, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Awesome. I thought it
All right,
was for some reason.
Arya's Gift you would 100% run.
Yeah.
Well, Night They Ha no, that's Direwolf Bull. So yeah, just a lot of Direwolf Bull. Although the North remembers the cycle of stuff you can get back from your discard pile is pretty good with this
Yes.
agenda.
Which
Yeah,
didn't really
I,
exist. There were a few of those um, in first edition, but there weren't very many,
yeah,
and that's just a very powerful effect, right? I mean,
yeah.
those events are busted.
A,
So
I mean, in this with this agenda, yes.
no, but I
A
mean,
good
well, I
a
think
good
they're a
half
little.
of them are like, hey, you should probably be running die rolls if you want to play this, and that's probably not a thing I'm doing. So,
Okay.
uh,
So what do you get more on the A for this then?
yeah, I think it's still S. I just think it's very limited in where it's gonna go. Like Terrell is the only thing that immediately jumped out to me is
Well,
obviously
that
on.
makes it more of an A though by our own metric. Like,
Um, I mean, if it's the best deck in the game in that one faction, why are you showing me all this if I
that's
just
fair
click one?
enough. That's fair enough. I mean, Tyrell's in some relatively dire straits if it's not Shadows. So something
Right.
that's going to like rejuvenate a mid-range Tyrell build, I think would be probably extremely welcome. It'd be
I
extremely
mean,
welcome by me. So I mean, you
it's
definitely don't run this out of a Tyrell Shadows deck.
I think it's probably going in Lannister just because they have really good cards and need to get some stuff out. Again, my concern with
That's true.
Lannister is like, do you have to run Clansman? If you do, it's no longer good.
I mean, I think most of the Lannister events don't really require clansmen, though, right? Like, there are some really good events in Lannister. Um,
Attack from the mountains. I mean,
there's the
attack's very
zero drop
cool.
one that's not, and then there's the one that was restricted but isn't Hear Me Roar, right? Is
Yeah,
back, is
and
free. Free Me
yeah,
Roar, right? That was the meme.
yep,
Um, there's a couple of the like weird gold events that might be pretty decent in a like Dark Wings
yeah. No,
context.
none of these are super great. Like, I don't think they're really worth
I
it.
mean, having played the mirror of this in when I played Lanny Steel, like the problem is really just the Lannister like characters are they're just so firmly medium. Like
Yeah,
the payoffs just aren't there in Lannister if you're not playing Shadows. Like they're cool mid-range cards if you can kind of like really get into a mid-range battle. Yeah, Lannister cards are okay, but like they don't really do the broken thing that like a Greyjoy mid-range deck can do, or a Stark mid-range deck that's running Wyman can do. Like there's just not like the ceiling on Lannister like characters is just so low uh, that it's just really kind of pathetic, and there's no way to reason to like really play it. As fun as it can be really fun. Like I had so much fun playing Lannister, Valerian Steel, but it just the cards are too medium.
yeah. I mean, that's reasonable.
Even if the agenda gives you a huge card advantage in Gen. Like, I mean, Darkwing Dark Word, not Darkwing Dark, Valerian Steel solves Lannister's card advantage problems, I think, or largely solves them.
I mean,
Um,
solves it enough, right?
solves them enough that they could keep up with other decks on a card advantage level. But the question is like on action economy and character quality and game actions per round, Lannister's still super below all the other factions
There is enough in Barra.
outside of Shadows. Of course, Lannister Shadows is a whole different thing. What were you saying? There's enough in Bear, or is it
There's
just
enough in Barra. There is enough in Barra.
hmm.
I think there's enough in Greyjoy, which is annoying, but whatever. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's enough in Greyjoy. In like things like reading the Bay of Ice, right? Like are just really nice with this. Uh, seize the initiative. Yeah, there's a lot of really
Oh
nice
yeah, right.
stuff.
That's a zero drop, right?
Yeah, it's an X.
Oh, X, right? Number of players, right? So it's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Shadow of the Isles isn't terrible for this. Kraken's Grasp, do not so obviously. What's that mean? Yeah, there's enough decent stuff.
All right. So we've got
Lance
what, three factions, three and a
Lannister is
half.
probably good, but I'd have to play it to know for sure. Martell is definitely good. Martell is silly. I don't think Night's Watch likes it. I don't think Stark likes it unless it's Wolves. And Targ probably wants this to be Dothraki, but it would be fine with Dothraki.
Okay. So what is your final rating, Glazer?
Yeah, S. It's an S.
S. Okay.
I think.
So we're in agreement there. Quick word about the art. This is the art that was in first editions of Corey. I actually think it's really unfair that this is the art. Because a lot of the other champs in second edition, when they made agendas, weren't able to have their face on their agenda. And I'm really happy for Corey, don't get me wrong, but I think it was really unfair. And I think it just shows that I think there's very little new art in this pack. Um, for better or for worse, if you have really strong attachment, like you can see on the screen right now, like rule by decree, like if you have a strong attachment to some of that art, awesome. Uh, but it also leads to a lot of it being garbage. And in this case, like it kind of like Corey's picture gets in by default, which I think is a little unfair to the Alvaros and who else has agendas? Well, Corey. Corey's other agenda doesn't
Uh,
have his face on it.
Florian.
Florian. Oh my God. Uh,
Jesus.
Jesus. Oh my God. Why is my brain forgetting about Wars to Come? Wars to Come is
Donovan.
Donovan. I was supposed to say Don, right? It's Don, right?
Yeah.
It's Donovan. Like none of them have their faces on their agendas, so I think it's a little unfair.
Ooh.
Uh,
Lock and
but
Key's out on Netflix on February 7th.
yeah, I know that's exciting. And Harley Quinn comes out that week, I think, as well.
Not sure if I mentioned that. Yeah.
It looks a lot better than the Suicide Squad, so I'll give it a
Oh,
shot. I look.
uh,
Huntress is one of my favorite characters from the '90s and the early 2000s, so
that's right.
we'll see that. I also am a great admirer of Mary Elizabeth Winstead, so I'm kind of sold. All right, so
Okay.
Knights of the Realm. It
Yep.
is an agenda as well. While you control more knight characters than each other player, increase the number of cards you draw in the draw phase by 1. While you control fewer knight characters than each other player, reduce the number of cards you draw in the draw phase by 1. Aaron?
Um, I don't think this is very good. I think if people play it, or if you just run into Terrell in the meta, or I guess even Barra in the meta, like you're just going to be real sad. I think that this kind of thing is hard to control, and if it is good, it immediately regulates itself. I think this is like when no one's paying attention to it, a B, maybe even an A. But the second anyone bothers to pay attention to it, you like have to surprise them at it. So I think it's probably a C plus B minus.
I think it's a B. So the question I have for you, Aaron, is they're like besides Tyrell, and I think even really honest to goodness in Tyrell, you're really stretching it. Are there enough playable knights in a single faction to make this agenda worth it?
Martell and Barra can both do. I don't know if Martell and
Martell
Barra
can do
run.
it. There's enough
Yeah,
knights in
Martell has
Martell.
a bunch of random ass knights.
I guess the like buddies of the buddies of Quentin.
Yeah, and all the little like non-uniques and like it would be a Martell deck that's doing basically something similar to the Wars, maybe with Knights of the Realm. It probably isn't super T1, but yeah, it could run it. Barra has a lot of like 4 and 5 cost knights.
Yeah, but traditionally this agenda doesn't live or die by the quality. I mean, I'm going a little, I guess, a little too much by the first edition here, but like it lives or dies by the quality of its low cost knights. And there's the broken knight that has like always threatened to be really good, which is what Green Apple Knight in
Yeah.
Tyrell, right? That's
Huh?
the busted one. But there's just never been enough knights. But I guess maybe the ability to draw 3 cards is, and there's no draw cap, right? That's the other thing that's the difference here. Is drawing 3 cards on a turn doesn't like set you up so you can only draw, a couple extra cards in other phases. You have unlimited draw, right? So I don't know. Maybe it's better. I don't know. I still don't think outside Tyrell this is good. This is going to be particularly great, and I still think the
Uh,
payoffs, like, I don't know.
I'm hitting and trying to search by faction, so let's do that quickly. I mean, Hedge Knight and Unlikely Champion help an awful lot.
Yeah,
So if there's
Unlikely
something good
Champion.
to
That's a card that we thought was going to be really good, but hasn't seen much play.
it would be good
So
with this agenda.
it would
And,
be, yeah.
Lynn Corbury, Hedge Knight, and Unlikely Champion are all acceptable. Barrick. Like, so there's at least a few neutral ones. Are there
Barrick's
2 Lynn Corburys
Barrick.
in
You're
there? I don't
reaching.
think so.
Yeah, there's one in draft.
I think Barrick is good. Apparently it's just me and what's his name? Reinhardt, but like I think it's good. There's mostly good. There's a number of good like 4 and 5 cost. The ones in Barra are expensive, except for Vanguard Lancer and Sir Emery. Um, Greyjoy has its one, like always.
The Knight, yeah.
Of the night. Lanny has just Sir Marin and Sir Lancel as cheap ones, so probably out there. Um,
Lancel is
Martell
pretty
has.
decent though, because there's only a few lords.
I mean, Martell has Darkstar, House Dane, House Ironwood, Knights of the Sun, Quentin,
Wow, Knights of
either
the Sun. That's right, yeah.
yeah, Sir Archibald, Sir Eris, with fine, not Sir Eris, Cletus, Garrus, and Bastard. That's playable. I don't know if I would play it, but it's playable.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's 4 whole ones in Night's Watch, like 7 whole in Stark. Like it.
Stark
Yeah,
Knights.
it's basically Terrell with a splash of air. So maybe it is good just because it's good Terrell. I'll bump it to a B.
Okay. I'm still a little underwhelmed. In a world where we just talked about 2 agendas that really pushed the envelope, like I loved Knights decks. Not as much as our fellow White Book co-host Will, who like
Uh, Not even Will. That was Alex Hines, like Jan.
Alex Hines as
He was
well.
he was always trying to do it right there.
When Derek won, was he playing Stark Knights? I can't remember when he won his title.
I don't remember anymore. I mean, I'll shoot him a message and ask.
We'll see if we find out. Like I have a soft spot for it. I mean, these were fun decks. And one of the first like competitive decks I played were some Knights decks. So I really enjoy it. And obviously I think drawing cards is fun, but I just think the payoffs aren't there. Maybe in Tyrell they are. Maybe you finally Green Apple Knight will really become busted, having lost some games to some Green Apple Knights in the past. Maybe it's a moment for it to just not just be a Roy Buster card, but be a real meta busting card. We'll find out. But I think B is a good place to set. Same art as first edition. I think this one's actually better. of the first edition arts, but
Yeah, it's fine. Perfectly fine. It's a helmet and two spears.
yep.
Perfectly acceptable.
So, excuse me. The long voyage. It is an agenda. Your maximum deck size is 100 cards.
Minimum.
Minimum deck size is 100 cards. Reaction. After you draw cards in the draw phase, need a faction card to draw one card. Aaron, your first competitive success was playing this agenda. Sell me on it in second edition.
Nah, man, it's not good in second edition. 100 cards is way more than 85, and there's much more
85. You
draw.
mean? Oh yeah, it was 80. It
It
was
was
85.
85. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There's
How can you
it's
even shuffle a 100 card deck? Like I really don't.
I mean the same way you shuffle an 85 card deck. It's not that much. 15 cards isn't that many more. Like the faction deal really hurts, and the lack of a draw cap and more draw generally in the game really hurt. I think. Um, I could be wrong because I don't. Well, you definitely weren't around. But when Long Voyage came out in first edition, everyone was completely convinced it was terrible, except I think Corey. But like 90% of the world was like, "This card is terrible. Why would you reduce your variance by that?" And like, so maybe I'm just wrong. But I think the
Well,
faction
it
combined with that it's 100 combined with way more draw in the game.
it's also important
Plus,
to keep in mind though that in first edition you could play out of faction cards at only a 2 gold penalty.
yeah, I mean
So if they were
it broke
broken out of
everything.
yeah, it broke first edition. But like, are there 100 playable in faction cards? Like I mean,
Yes,
like
yes.
in
In every faction except Lannister,
except Lannister. Okay,
and maybe Bear.
and maybe Bear. Yeah, Bear. So so how would you build, for example? Like I think this is a C agenda.
I think it's probably a B, but I don't think
Okay.
it matters because I'm not sure why you would ever play this with Valerian Steel and Dark Wings right here.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
if it were still 85 cards, I
if it
could
didn't
see
have the
different,
faction
right?
kneel, right? Because also
Yeah,
faction kneel is also extremely important.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, you can build this pretty easily in Stark or Targ.
yeah, I mean, definitely Stark has enough cards, and Targaryen have enough cards. I think
I
Targaryen.
mean,
I mean,
I
but
don't
to be
see
fair,
why.
you might start running into restricted cards at that point. You're like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
that card's
yeah.
restricted. Oh yeah, that card's
Greyjoy
restricted.
wants a redundancy of its big guys, but even so, I
It
don't think
doesn't
it
have
runs.
enough card advantage though to churn
Yeah.
through, right?
Well, I mean, it's the draw three cards is supposed to do a lot of work for you. It does more
Yeah,
work than you think just doing that.
that's
It's just
fair.
100. 100 is a lot more than 85 in the numbers we're talking about, right?
Yeah,
It's an X% increase. I'm not trying to do math, but it's a
that's
bigger
what we would
increase.
need. I'm sure Wama will say in the comments
Yeah.
that what the exact math is.
But yeah, I think it's still probably a B. I think it's still going to be good. Um, Drawing cards is good. And
Drawing
like
cards is good.
Knights of the Realm draws cards, but it requires you to do something. Just being like, hey, look, I have cards is nice.
I mean, I think this could run into one of the few cards in this pack that was extremely powerful in first edition. Because it's important to give it some first edition context. The card ended up being so powerful that they didn't want to ban cards anymore, so they errated it so that it was neutral faction only, which
Yep,
was, for all intents and purposes, banning it. There
yep.
were a few people that showed up at tournaments with Long Voyage. I
As
remember,
meme, as a meme deck though, not as a
yeah,
real
as a
thing.
meme deck. But I remember when Stromes lost a game to it. He was very upset.
I mean, he should have
Uh,
been less terrible. I see
uh,
Stroms reasonably regularly now. It's nice.
um, I hope he and Amy are well. But
Yeah, very well.
anyway, uh, so but I think it was a little over nerfed. Like I think 100 cards is like a little ridiculous.
I mean,
Like it won't even fit, like it's gonna be hard to fit it in a deck box
I'm
with
completely
plots.
convinced this entire set is just whatever Nate thought was funny.
Yeah, but some of the cards they clearly attempted to balance. Some of them they didn't, but this is one of the
Uh,
ones that runs into they attempted to balance it.
yeah, that's fair. That's
So,
very fair.
and in a pack that we're about to go jump into some of the less than balanced cards. So let's think about the agendas overall here. So what do you think about what the agendas overall do to the game?
Um, I think there are four agendas that are above all the others. I think Aloof, like, if you were going to play something like Fealty, and were going to play any big dudes, I think you just replace that with Aloof, right?
Hmm.
Like, and Fealty continues to perform well at every big tournament. Um, you choose between Dark Wings and
Excuse me.
Valerian Steel based on your agenda, or you just play Cohor. And I'm not sure that
You mean
anything
based on your
else.
faction, not agenda?
So, yeah, based on your faction, sorry. And I'm not sure any other agendas matter really anymore. Maybe Shadows and the odd
Shadows
banner.
definitely does, because the Shadows is the only thing resembling a control deck you can play. Well, maybe this pack actually might change that, which we'll get to.
I don't think so, but we'll get there.
But I mean, Shadows is probably what the only thing resembling a control deck you can play right now, which is one of the reasons why I don't think it should be restricted. Um, but you know,
I mean, we'll find out soon if it happens or
we
it
will.
doesn't, right?
Yeah,
I think Lanny Shadows is the Shadows to beat because Red Keep is a dumb card.
it is. It's a dum dum, and it's a particularly good control card. And I
Yeah.
think, yeah, and I think actually the Shadows decks in particular, even with Red Keep, I think they're kept in check by a couple of things. I think that they can't interact they can't interact well with locations. I think is a really big deal, and I think it's something that people really undersell.
Mm.
Um, and Red Keep helps a little bit with that, but it's still, if you have like 1 to 2 good locations, Shadows is not going to be able to handle that. Like, it doesn't interact well. It can clear your board, but if you have something like the Wall, if you have something like Old Town, like these cards really just suck for Shadows to play against.
I mean, you can just run the event.
And you can just run the
No, just run Lay Waste and beat
oh, that's
locations.
true. That's true. That's true. I always forget about that card.
And
Uh,
no one likes it but me. I'm literally the one that likes it. But
I mean, we'll see at
I mean,
Worlds. I would not be surprised if it's at Worlds.
I didn't play a million games, right? But like, I played a bit in the last online tournament, and I played a bit, and like I ran it, and it was literally always good. Like just being able to say whatever your best of those is make one step down is really nice. All right, ready to go up to the Barra cards?
Yep, this one's really easy. Barra cards is a loyal, unique Sir Davos Seaworth 5 cost. All 3 icons, 5 strength. Simply a knight, and Sir Davos Seaworth cannot be killed.
Um, so this card would be completely busted if there weren't so many answers for it in this pack. And the fact that Yorin is a card, because Yorin thinks it's really fun to take things that you can't kill.
Yeah, Yorin kind of laughs at this card, right? Like,
Yeah,
um, I
I
think
mean,
the fact that he doesn't have any keywords is also a little bit like, he makes you do more work, right? Like, I think he's a good Voltron target. Don't get me wrong. I think that he creates redundancy for like that for the Andros deck, the Bara um,
Cohort.
cohort deck. Because you can put no, I guess you can't, right? Because he's not even a lord, right? So you can't put that stupid attachment that gains power
What's the
when
name of the
you
attachment?
the 1 cost attachment that disputed claim, right?
Oh,
It can't go on that, right?
correct.
Um, so maybe I can, maybe not. I mean, because you can't really give him renown.
You
Like,
can put
what
the
can?
3 cost. You can put the 3 cost participates in everything on
Yeah,
him.
but he doesn't have any keywords, right? Like, I'm
Yeah,
trying to think. There's
it's just that he doesn't die if you do that, right? Like it's just a safe place to store your power,
but how
safe-ish
are you
place.
storing power? That's more what I'm thinking of. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, if he has the three, oh, he's not getting power just from that. You're right. You're right.
right, right. That's what I'm
Um,
trying to think. There's not like a huge number of ways in Barra to give him renown. I guess you can give
uh,
him renown. Isn't that there that new attachment that gives him renown during military challenges? I'm trying to think.
I
There's not really a lot of ways to give renown in Barra.
he's a knight. There's various ways to give knights power.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, yeah, I think he's probably a B minus. I don't think he's anything special.
I think he's more closer to, yeah, B minus is probably right. He, is going to be a really bad card to play in the Barra Mirror, thanks to the next card, which is a real favorite of first edition players, is a 4 cost Relore terminal attachment that is loyal. Take control, Melisandre's favorite to be clear. Take control of attached character, forced interrupt. When the dominance phase ends, sacrifice Melisandre's favor, cannot be canceled.
Um, this is going to
Yes.
be amazing in cohort,
Yes. Super
but
fun.
I can't think of that many ways to get rid of it in Barra, given its timing.
I mean, you just like, it's like a tempo play, right? You take their best
Yeah, oh,
defender.
I know why you do it. It was just a lot of why it was so broken in first edition was you
The
would use
recycling.
it with Harrenhal
Um,
or
yeah, I mean,
X
Harrenhal, which
other
we'll get
card
to, is in
fills
this
it in.
pack.
Hmm.
So, Bara, other sacrifice. I don't think there's a lot of sacrifice outlets in Bara. Is there a lot, the other thing that was powerful in Bara in first edition with this card is that you could recycle it
Yeah.
pretty easily. Davos in second edition doesn't get attachments, right? He just gets locations.
Right.
Not Davos. Dale.
No,
Dale,
I
right?
know. Yeah.
Uh, so it's a lot less busted, honestly. It's still super strong. Do not get me wrong. The fact that it can take any character in the game that can take attachments is extremely strong.
Hmm.
I mean, it can just win. I mean, I think it's also stronger in second edition because Renown is more powerful in second edition, right? So if a Bear cohort deck is at 12 power and you've got 3 power sitting on your John, hey John, I win, right?
Well, depends which John.
Right.
But
Well,
yeah,
the two playable Johns take attachments.
that's
So,
true.
uh, I mean, maybe there's a core John deck out there that's good, but I've not
It's
seen it. But,
it's basically uncancelable on both ends. It's very, very strong.
right. The way this works, it's like Ward, right? If you sacrifice it for cohort, they get the character back, right? It's not
I
like
would
some of
assume so,
those
yes.
tricky
Hmm.
things you can do with what's the Night's Watch one that does this turn cloak,
Yes.
uh,
Currently.
that you take the character permanently.
Uh-huh.
So, um, yeah,
It's still really good. I think it's an A card. I don't think it's an S card, but I think it's an A card. It's hard to imagine a Bear deck that doesn't want three of these.
yeah. I mean, it's not unique. That's the other thing that's important. You can in a turn that you have a lot of gold play 2 of them
Or three.
or 3.
Be like, all right, I now have your whole board. I'm gonna get 8 power here. Thanks.
Thanks. See
Especially
ya.
with fast up. Yeah.
Right, and I think the fact that it's not until the end of the dominance phase is also
Yeah.
very important. Oh, it's good with breaking ties.
It is very good with breaking ties. That is accurate. Is that the only one though?
That you have access to in
I mean,
Bara.
there's probably some Reigns stuff, although I don't see Reigns as being super great in Barrow.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's other ways in Bara to sacrifice stuff. So there's breaking ties. What was the other thing that we said?
Reigns
Oh,
and
aren't there some
Barracks.
weird ass cards that like kill things to bring other stuff back that you could use it for?
Uh, I don't
Like
know.
there's that like
Let's.
that gem or something. The like
I think that's only. I think that's Relore related.
okay
It's like kill a Relore character or something.
to bring or maybe it's kill. I thought it was like kill a character to bring a relore character back. I don't know. There's like
Uh,
there's a bunch of weird stuff in Barra that doesn't see any play that might do.
yeah, it has to die this phase.
Wow.
I'm taking a look. I'm just looking at it through Barra cards now. No. Castle Guard thankfully doesn't do it. Yeah, I don't see a whole lot.
Yeah. Relore guy. Which relore guys?
Uh,
I'm asking Rabs.
Imri doesn't do it. Just in
No.
that.
Emery, because Emery always sacrifices locations, but he is very
Yeah,
strong.
I don't really see anything. Unless I'm missing something that I just forgot what it does. Checking out attachments.
Maybe it's an event. I don't know.
Ah, Glamour.
Glamour, yes.
Kill attached character is a character in dead pile that was killed this phase. Return that chose a
Oh
character to play.
no, it doesn't do
That's
it.
not super good because you have to have a character that was killed this phase, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
And like, if they were going to military challenge you, you probably would have just killed that goddamn character anyway.
Fair, fair. Uh, so overall, what do we think of these two Barra cards? The art, by the way, I think is good for both of these cards.
I've been grading them one by one, but I don't know, choose a character. No, and the knee, no. Ugh. Put a position. No, no. Uh, Sacrifice to the Red God works. Oh no, it's a martial. Yeah, it's a marshalling action. Play a film control a lore character, sack a character to search your deck for a lore character with equal or lower printed cost, and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck. So you can take something, sack it, go get a lore.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, probably not worth playing, but that's at least a decent one. I mean, Thrones doesn't have a huge a lot of sack outlets outside of Stark. Like if this was Stark, and sadly loyal, so you can't. You could do Bear Wolf though, where you can run 6
Take
for,
control. I mean,
take
you could.
control 4 drop attachments. Uh,
It
I
seems
mean,
unnecessary.
seems a little overkilly, but so what do we think about Bear overall in this pack? I think it's an okay pack for them. Like,
No, yeah, A and B minus isn't terrible, right? Like
I
it's
mean, we're gonna get to some factions that have like SS, but
yeah,
yeah,
but like, are we? I don't think anyone has S. Oh yeah, Targ. Okay, maybe we
Targ
are.
and I think Martell's close at least.
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
Prince Lusts. Meh. But
we'll get there.
yeah, I don't know. I think look, Bear's best deck is Cohort, and they got a really, 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 really strong card for that deck, and then a mediocre card for that deck, right?
Yeah,
So like that's not terrible.
that's fair. All right, so that brings us to Greyjoy. The first one, all right, this card has a lot of text, so let me actually look at it in the app. All right, so it is a 4 cost, 4 strength, military, power, non unique, non loyal, which is important, character Wintertime Marauders, Army and Ironborn. While there are more summer plots than winter plots revealed, Wintertime Marauders cannot be declared as an attacker or a defender. Reaction: after you win a challenge in which Wintertime Marauders is participating, if there are more winter plots than summer plots revealed, choose a non-unique card and discard it from play. Glazer?
Whatever.
This card
It's
was
probably good.
pretty busted in first edition. Uh,
Oh, it
right?
was.
It
I
was.
gotta see. I'm sorry. You gotta talk.
Oh, sure. It's important to remember that, of course, I don't know what the exact rating ruling, but I still think it's true that duplicates are non-unique cards. So you can kill people's duplicates with this, which was one of the things that you did with it in first edition, which was super obnoxious.
You can't
Su-
anymore, right?
it's right.
I
I
don't
thought
think you can anymore.
you don't think you can anymore. All right.
Uh,
Uh,
s-
but I
I
think
don't
summer
think so.
plot, like winter and summer as a mechanic, is very different in second over first. And summer plots are ubiquitous, right? In second edition, winter
Are
plots.
they?
I mean, there's what trade
Clo-
routes.
close call.
Isn't
Trade
your
routes.
beloved 461 a summer plot?
Nope.
Return to the
Nope.
Fields?
Nope.
It's not. Okay.
90% sure it's just a kingdom, but let's double check. No, edict.
Okay. Kingdom and Edict. For some reason, I thought it was summer.
I don't.
Because I mean, it would be thematic, but it'd be even more busted. Um, but, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's that
Maybe
many
maybe
summer
I'm doing
plots
it
left.
based on an older meta where
Late summer trade routes. I'm just flipping through like
late
the full.
summer trade routes, your everyone's favorite, a time of plenty. Um,
No Prince Chime Plenty anymore, right?
yeah, no.
Rick has heads.
What
What
was
the heck is
the
this stuff?
what? What
Yeah,
other major summer plot? Oh, close call. Close call still sees a decent amount of
a
play.
little bit. Probably shouldn't, but it does. Yeah.
Okay, maybe my memory is just on an older meta. Then, I mean, it does mean that you need to run winter plots though to turn it on, right? That we can agree because
Yeah,
the effect doesn't work without winter plots.
yeah. And there's
Uh,
not a lot of other winter support in Greyjoy. Greyjoy doesn't really
right.
care about winter otherwise.
And the winter plots are kind of bad. So,
Yes.
or at the very least, difficult to build your deck around because the gold is too low. And
Oh, exchange.
oh, exchange. That's a big summer plot that sees a good amount of play.
Oh, but that doesn't really see play anymore.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think it super matters. I don't think you want to do that in Greyjoy. I think it's a cool card that's cool to see back, and if anyone can make it work,
So you think it's like a
also very
C?
cool. I think it's more like a C plus because if you can get it going, it doesn't say non-limited, so like you can completely destroy their economy.
And that's fair. And like, I mean, there are some Greyjoy choke support cards that require winter, like Torin Square, right? Isn't that the one that like
Yeah,
when you have more winter plots, you reduce their gold and reserve and shit?
yeah. I
I've
mean,
never
I
had
think
that card played against me. I've had more copies of that. What is it? Northern the mountain card that reduces your reserve. I've had that
oh,
played against me
yeah.
more often than I've had the Greyjoy. card
I
playing
mean,
against me. What
it's
is that
not
card
loyal,
called?
so I don't know. But Night's Watch Kraken with House Botley Crew and Clytus, and this is probably solid. Like that's where this is home is if it ends up good.
Oh, Rabbits is pointing out everyone's playing uh barring, which is winter. So you might get some cheeky extra winter synergy. So
Is At the Palace of Sorrows summer? Let's Google or let's Drones DB, which thankfully I remembered to open before we did this. It is just an omen.
is that the reset one?
That's the no. Everything is 3.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, everything is three. Right, right, right. Was it a
So
reset in? It was something in
I don't know.
first edition. I don't know. All right. Conquer, which is a 2-cost loyal attachment condition, non-unique location only. Take control of attached location.
Meh. I wouldn't even play it.
I mean, it's the
Maybe. I
non-unique,
mean,
right? It's the
look.
non-unique
I would play it in a
choke deck.
exactly. No, I wouldn't play it in a choke deck because I think choke decks are Night's Watch decks that run Greyjoy Banner. I would run it in a Valerian Steel maybe.
Oh yeah, it definitely goes into Valerian Steel, Greyjoy,
It's just
Valerian
you,
Steel.
you take an economy.
I mean, I think this is like an A
Well,
minus card
what you do is
because you
Valerian Steel decks like running PD. So you PD them, and then they keep an econ location. You take
just
it,
take it. Yeah,
and then
cheeky.
you basically got it for 1 gold because you can just get a gold if you want.
That's very cheeky. I mean, the fact that it's non-unique is a big. I mean, is a big drawback, right? Because like most of the locations, unless you're trying to choke your opponent out, and I include what you just described, which is PDing them and then take one of their limited locations as just choke strategy. It's not as strong, right? Because there's not that many in second edition really
Very.
busted non-unique locations that
I mean,
aren't
not even busted,
not
just that you didn't see.
non-unique. Yeah, not well, yeah. I mean that's busted, right? Like locations are still a card type that's when they're not, particularly because economy is even more important in second edition than it was in first.
Yeah, you're basically just taking an econ card. Like, I can't think of anything really that sees play that's not econ, that's not limited. Like, especially with our mind restricted.
Yeah, feel feel.
Derek did play Knights of the Realm in
All right, bless
House.
my memory. Uh, bless my memory. Um, so yeah, so I think that this is like a B card, or am I being too generous?
I think it's a D plus.
A D plus. Holy shit.
Yeah, I think it's
Wow.
just like
Uh,
I'm gonna take your econ for 2 gold is not really a great deal.
all right. So we have big differentiation there. What do we think about the art with these two cards?
I
Wintertime
don't know.
Marauders is pretty fine.
They're both fine. Like
Yeah.
the only bad out of these 4, which we didn't talk about, is Davos is very very shadowy.
I don't mind the Davos. I think the Davos is fine.
Davos is kind of. Oops, sorry, my wife needed me.
No
Davos
problem.
is kind of ugly. Um, but the others are all fine. These 4 are fine. Conquer is apparently Greyjoy attacking a wall, right? Wintertime Marauders are people rowing a boat in the winter. They're gonna maraud, I would assume.
One would
Um,
expect.
Mel's favor is her looking at flames, so
Oh,
I don't
she's
know. We
blessing
may.
that person, right? So she's
Oh,
like,
okay. Oh, okay. So yeah, we're all around fine. Sure.
all right. All right. So that brings us to Lannister, where we
Ugly,
have
ugly art.
very ugly art for both of these. It's still not the worst looking Cersei art, which is at the bottom. A card that truly has some of the ugliest, supposedly sexy art that I've ever seen in a card game. So we've got Spider's Web, which is a 2-cost, 3-strength intrigue icon. It's not Spider's Web, excuse me, Spider's Whisperer. It's non-loyal, 3-strength. Ally, forced reaction. After Spider's Whisperer enters play, choose an ally character and discard it from play. Uh,
So
this was
that's
Varys, right? It came out of
yeah.
Shadows.
This was Varys. It was shadows and differently cost. I think there's a CCG card that did this. I just don't think it's very good.
I mean, ally hate was a real thing in first edition, but
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
probably
real.
fine.
I mean, I don't think we should sit and go through all the allies, but I don't think it's as like spread out, or there was like it legitimately was a drawback, right? In first edition, like I mean, I remember sitting around and building decks with you and being like, we have too many allies in our character base. Like we have too many powerful allies. We need to cut back on that because if your opponent is running Varys or what was the other one? Dissension, right? Was the other
And there was a Sir Aris
Sir
that did that.
Eris that did it too, and that one does kind of exist in second edition.
Yeah, it just
Um,
cost an extra 2 gold for some goddamn reason.
right. But like, there's just at some point that Nate and or Danny forgot that ally could be a drawback trait, and that not only should there be good playable ally hate cards, there should be good cards should have ally slapped on them. Like imagine Wyman had ally slapped on him, and
Yeah.
Dissension was playable, right? That would
Uh,
be a whole different thing.
wow, just not good allies in this game. Jesus.
Yeah.
There's one reasonably important one that I found so far. Two, actually. Craster, Desert Raider.
Oh, okay. Craster
Goes
and
to high hearts, annoying for certain decks, but whatever. Uh, well, bunch of more bad cards. House Dane Escort, which if you use it on, that's very funny. It's just like, I'll
that is
replay
very
that, thank
funny.
you. Janos,
Eh,
Jockin,
okay, but I mean, Jack can barely sees any play.
Littlefinger. Both Littlefingers, I guess. Lord Spirit Shipwright, whatever. Woke her up. No, it's just not on real cards where you
Oh, Bolton
enough good
Flare and
cards.
Desert Rain. Bolton Flare is apparently a thing.
Yeah, but whatever. Like you're like it's done its
Thing.
job by the time that happens. Ricasso.
Okay, Wakasa. Now that it's a blowout.
Yeah.
But
That's Tickler. Theon. Theon matters mildly. It's the 4 cost Theon though.
then the Theon that never sees any play anymore.
Varys. The 4 cost Varys, but apparently not the 6, according to this.
Okay.
I don't know.
I,
Whatever.
I still don't think you ever play
Tycho.
this card.
You can play Tycho, and this is how you get rid of your Tycho and win the game.
You don't have. So you pay 2 gold instead of what is it, 4 gold, or is it 6 gold to get rid of his?
Uh, you have to pay 6 gold, so you pay 2 gold instead.
Okay, and then you can win the game.
Win the game.
All right, it's good that Root came while we're reading Lannister cards. All right, so
This
uh,
card is a D.
yes, so oh yeah, it's a D. I would actually probably say it's an F. Honestly, let's be, but it's the last pack. Fuck
No,
it.
no, I don't think it's bad enough for an F. Like I don't think you're bad if you play this. I just don't think you should play this because also, like Prince's Loyalist is an ally. I bet you there's a couple other allies in this pack.
Uh,
There are not. That is the only ally in the pack. Okay,
Littlefinger's not an
fine.
ally. Littlefinger's an ally.
Littlefinger is an ally, and that's actually really important. Gale Refugee is an ally. You don't want to use it on that, but it gives you a target. I don't know. Littlefinger as an ally. Littlefinger's might be the best card in the pack, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. Well, this might be the best card in the pack, which is, of course, Wheels Within Wheels, which which already exists as a plot. Which I believe, based on the deck building rules, you can play both of these in the same
You
deck.
can if you're running 2 wheels within wheels, right?
No, you can run, because I believe the deck building rules just says you may only run 7 cards of 7 cards, 2 of which can be repeated by title in your plot deck, and then
Okay.
the rules for your draw deck are separate.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong, but I think
There
that
you
that's
go.
how I read it when it was being talked about in the
You
group.
know I have no idea, so
Yes.
I'll take
So
it.
Wheels Within Wheels is a 3 cost loyal uh, event. Excuse me. Is action. Kneel a unique Lannister character to choose and reveal a new plot card. Max 1 per round. Aaron.
It's completely broken in like every way. I mean, I'm not sure what to say about it besides that. Like, this is probably the single best card in the game at the second it's printed. Like, it's a reason to run Lannister.
It is.
Like, and not run one of the big card agendas, right? Because you want a thin deck for this. Um, there's, I mean, a million and a half things you can do with it, a million and a half different ways. That like, it's an action, so it's basically any phase. Like trade routes. You could run this with a couple little fingers meddling, right? Like, and just be like, all right, 1 gold, and now I can wreck everything. Hell, you can run with little fingers meddling and fealty,
Yep.
and do literally whenever you want. So,
I mean, there's
I
the
mean,
attempt to make it less broken than when SoCal broke it at the last 1.0 Worlds, right? It was what, Prize 2? Or was it 3?
yeah, I don't know, but it's not even prized anymore.
It's not even prized anymore, but it's max 1 per round.
I
So,
mean, that's
so
fine. It doesn't matter.
yes.
Like, it's completely absurdly silly. Um, like just the sheer weird timing of valors and like a million other things you can do with it, right?
Yes.
Like I just want 3 cards now. Let's count in coppers, or I count in coppers, and now I want to like do something else. Okay, let's do that, right? Like it's just
No, it's an
roll by
unbelievably strong.
decree, or yeah.
I think that I mean I loved this card in first edition. Uh, I played it all the time, uh,
Even
and
when you shouldn't have.
even when I shouldn't have, I loved it. It's a cool effect, but it's super busted. And I think it's actually more busted in second
Yeah.
edition because I think that what's the best way to put this? I think plot cycling in second edition is even more busted. Um, and yeah, and I think that Littlefinger's meddling makes it like there's a clear attempt. Like this card screams to me on a design level that they really, really, really wanted to print this card.
I mean,
And they
that's
tried
the
to make
entire
it
pack.
so right. But like I think of all of these cards, like this is a card like Long Voyage that I mentioned earlier that they clearly tried to balance. Now whether or not it is balanced, we'll see when it's in.
It's not.
It's not, but they tried,
So
right? Because it costs 3 gold, which the sweet spot for events, and we'll see like a pushed good event in Thrones 2.0 is 2 gold, right? That's what's been decided, right? You look at Bound, you look at you murdered your children, you murdered her children here. There's very few 3 cost events that have seen a lot of play, right? In second edition, I think the only
uh-huh.
one that I can think of is Fresh Recruits, right? Um, plus the max 1 per phase to try to prevent you from doing what the SoCal deck did, which was try to play 2 wheels within wheels
It
in the
never needed to. One was plenty fine.
one was plenty, but when I played the one SoCal player that I played against did it twice to me in the plot phase on the first turn.
Okay.
It was
Well, and
it was quite miserable. Uh, yeah,
it has a gold cost.
it has a
Help.
gold cost now.
But
So
like, I can do whatever I want, then flip over to Prince that came too late, and get my character without any 1 gold penalty. I can wait
correct.
for you to marshal, then flip to First Snow of Winter.
Or may wait till you marshal and flip to Valor.
Yes. Um, I can count all my gold, do all my stuff, then political disaster you. I can wait for you to marshal one thing, have marshaled nothing, and then flip march to the wall. Like,
Yeah, I
the
mean,
number of things you can do with
I
this
mean,
is completely goddamn
let's
absurd.
remember how much Reigns ran over the meta for a long
Yeah.
time. Like, and it
Yeah.
still comes back as a powerful agenda on occasion. And that card asks you way more of you than Wheels Within Wheels does. Um, and again, so this is an S card.
Yeah, it's the SE of S cards. There's like 3 or 4 of these in the pack. This is the first one. Oh, the first one besides the agendas, I guess. So like this is the first in
You think
faction S.
you think it's better? You think Melisandre's favor is in its orbit?
No, Melisandre's favor is an A. I think it's very good. I think the timing and difficulty of getting that off the board lowers it a little bit. Wheels also apparently works with Reigns now, according to Johnny Wright, who is listening. Hi, Johnny. Wheels works with Reigns. This game is very going to be very, very silly once these are out.
Right, because they're in your except in they're in your plot deck,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah. Yeah. Right. You can't value your own character off before you do this, but you can like say you can flip a good
I
gold
mean,
plot.
you,
Like
you, you
I've
can
done
kill
I can tell you something literally like you can flip a good gold plot, collect the gold. You have one Lannister. Say you have
Shay or Lancel
not even
or
Shay.
whatever.
You have like a 4 drop. You have what's one of the 4 cards? Even if you have
Man,
Jamie, Jamie is your own.
man,
You just kneel Jamie. You valor all your opponent's stuff away, or most 90% of your opponent's stuff away. Then you marshal. After they've marshaled, I mean that's a good turn for you.
yes, it is. That is a board switch.
Yes.
Um, I mean, you just kill. Yes, you just kill your own dupe thing. It does not matter in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's just very
So,
strong.
hi, Abel.
So nice to see you, Abel. Um,
Um, yeah, tickler, just a million things.
yeah,
Like, I really, really like doing the prince that came too late, like in dominance phase. Just like, cool. I'm just gonna go get whatever.
yeah. I
I'm,
mean,
I'm, I'm gonna go get Craster. Have fun. My Lanny watch.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's a
can
good
also
combo.
flip out of plots that are bad for you. Like you can flip out of
Winda.
Wind Eye. That was the one I was thinking of. Yeah. Like in Dominance, you can flip out of Wind Eye into Prince.
Yeah,
Fetch your card,
into
and you have a hand now.
into
Woo!
counting.
Yeah. Like all kinds of stupid shit.
Yep.
There's just a million different ways to abuse it, and a lot of the ones that we're describing are Magical Christmas Land. But I played this card as a bad player that I was for most of First Edition, and I won games that I shouldn't have with it. And then of course we saw what happened at the last 1.0 Worlds, where good players took it and ran over the meta. So I think that
Yeah.
this card, Danny and Nate and the playtesters tried really hard to balance it, but I think that this effect is fundamentally broken in Thrones and should not be printed.
I mean,
So,
it was only for a dead game.
yes.
Like, it's not like they were like, let's release this in pack two.
You can use when Abel's asking us, you can use Wizard and Wheels as a plot to play Wizard and Wheels out of the discard pile the next turn. Yes,
Yeah.
you can play them in separate. They're separate decks. So,
I mean, you could annals with this and just, wheels to your heart's content.
all right, let's bring us down to Martell cards. This is a faction that, as Rabs pointed out in the chat, has shown that plot manipulation is very powerful, but doesn't have any plot manipulation here.
You can run someone always tells again
Oh,
and
oh,
cancel either wheels or their new plot.
that's true. Real quick,
Seems like a bad idea.
to go back, that's really bad Cersei art. Can we just agree? Like, I don't think it's
Oh,
very good
yeah.
Cersei art.
Her neck looks very strange.
Yes, it's not the worst Cersei art in the pack. We'll get to Art of Seduction in a second. Well, not a second. Oh, probably like an hour. But we will be there. All right. So Princess Loyalist, 4 cost, 4 strength, loyal Martell card, military intrigue, prized one, ally, stealth, immune to events. So many keywords. Interrupt. When the effects of a triggered character ability would initiate, pay 2 gold to cancel those effects. All right, Glazer, you were expressing some skepticism about this card earlier. Please give us
It's
your
fine.
opinion.
Like, it's just a fine card. The prized is fine. It's there. The stealth is what's really honestly like. I would like it mostly for the stealth. I think in a wars deck, I really like the stealth, or a crossing deck, I really like the stealth. I don't think it does enough otherwise. Like, saving 2 gold to cancel only a character ability is, for the meta that this pack promises, very, very underpowered.
I mean, I don't know if it's very, very underpowered, right? Like, if we delete that bottom text, the card is playable, right?
Yeah, that's it. Like, I
Right.
think the rest of it is just fine. It's
Upside.
just a
That's the rest of it's pure upside, though, right? Like,
yeah.
sometimes you will have 2 gold.
And like, if they have something really good, you keep it. You keep the 2 gold as a
Or
threat.
against certain matchups, right? Against Night's Watch, this is really powerful, right? Um, I think that this is like a B. It's an A minus card. I think. I think it's just a really good Martell mid range card that's like a little bit more on the control-y side. Um, I mean, stealth. It's immune to events, right? There's another really good Martell card, and if I'm remembering correctly, how immunity works in Thrones, you can Westeros bleeds, and this guy survives.
Yeah,
So pretty good in a Martell mid range control deck, right?
I mean, it should be.
So I don't know. I think this is like an A minus. Like I think this is just a really strong card.
I think it's fine. I think it's a B. Like, I'm thinking of like a Martell control deck, which might survive with the next card. I don't know if I run this in it. Like, I'm not sure if a Martell Wolf, a Martell Rose runs this. I think it is good. It's just a really weird cost slot for that deck. For something that wants to win challenges, which isn't really what that deck wants to do.
Do you think it goes in like a Martell Wars deck
Yeah, definitely. It goes in Martell Wars just because it's a good cost and stuff.
with the right? What about Martell
Icons.
Reigns? Do you think this could?
I don't think Martell Range is ever going to be a thing. I think this would go in Martell Wars, and Martell Crossing likes it.
Right, because it's got stealth
Yeah, it's got stealth and it just sticks around.
on icon. Like you want intrigue stealth in range decks, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Okay. Not a lot to say about this card. I think, but this next card has really blown up. I think down to currently in the 2.0 group, this is the most unpopular card, which is You Murdered Her Children, which is a 2-cost loyal Martell event reaction. After you lose a challenge as the defending player, choose an attacking character and discard it from play. Cannot be saved. Then search its controller's hand and deck for any number of copies of that character and discard them. Shuffle that player's deck.
I think Rabs misread the last card. It doesn't give you card. Oh no, is it Rabs that misread it or
Did we misread it?
Matt? It's Matt that misread it.
But
Sorry, telling Matt it doesn't give you gold for events. Sorry, but
you
it's you
you
pay gold
to
to cancel
cancel it.
character
Right, yeah.
character abilities. You don't get
Yeah,
extra
yeah.
gold.
Oh, that well.
But when you save the gold, you do have the threat of activation of both.
Oh, yeah. Again, it's very strong in that sense.
You Murder Children is fantastic.
It is very strong. The best control card, well, second best control card in the game, in the pack, right?
Second best control card in the pack, which makes it the second best control card in the game. I mean, I don't think there's anything else that's really close. Maybe Red Keep, like it's between this and Red Keep.
Which you can play in the same deck. You can play a Martell Lion control deck.
You can play Martell Lion. Right, I forgot Red Keep's not well. Maybe that is a good deck. I don't know. I'm going to try a Martell Lion. You Murder Her Children, Westeros Queen's deck for sure. This card's really, really, really good. I think it's our next S tier card. I can't believe it's not the best event in the pack, but Wheels is sitting right here looking at us.
And Westeros Bleeds, let's not forget.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's not better than Westeros Bleeds, because this is just like, all right, Jon Snow, go away.
Yeah, I mean, I think it...
All right, Dany, you are not played, right? Like, Dany, get out.
How am I put this?
Khal Drogo, get out. Like, whoever is just gone. And you can do that, like, if you can find it, so they're 3 best characters, or Annals, or Isle of Ravens, whatever, and then do it more times. It's just, getting rid of their very best dudes entirely is very, very, very strong. I mean, not entirely, mostly.
I think that, yeah, I mean, it's extremely strong. I think the reason why people are not really, how do I put this? The play patterns of this card are bad. Like, this is a feel bad card when it's played against you. It's kind of like a reverse bound in some ways. One, people don't like your opponent. One, people both overvalue like flipping through your opponent's deck quickly to find the cards, and like there's just that feel bad feeling of like, oh, I won a challenge with my Euron, my 6-cost Euron with Intimidate. I'm gonna intimidate you. You're just fucked, man. Like, you're screwed. And nope, I'm sorry. Euron is in the discard pile. You don't get the Intimidate, and both copies of him are all copies of him in existence, except unless it's in your no, it says hand. I just want to make sure. All copies that exist in your deck are now in the discard pile. I think these are feel bad. That's a bad feeling. But I think that what people don't recognize.
Feeling, and I disagree.
Hold on, I'm not saying about the player used against. This is used against. But I think that what people don't really recognize is that the power level of high cost characters is so high right now. Like, we can just list them off. I just had one of them. Euron. We've got 2 Jon Snows. We have 8-cost Dany, 7-cost Dany, Khal Drogo, Wyman, 6-cost Robb. What's some other ones, Glazer? Well, we've got Mad King Aerys. That's another one.
Every single character in Targ.
Every single character in Targ. Almost every single character in Greyjoy that costs 5 or more. Right?
All the big Barra dudes, except one.
Right. Except for one. Except for Stannis, right? Stannis can't get hit by this.
Stannis gets better.
I think that this is a safety valve. This is also a safety valve against Voltron decks. I think that people don't appreciate what the power level of characters are, um, and it's a safety valve for Voltron decks that require the character to participate in challenges, which I think is really healthy for the meta. The other thing is it doesn't kill the character, and there's a card that sees a lot of play. It's called Isle of Ravens, and you can play it, and you can shuffle the character back in, and you will play it later in the game. Um, so it doesn't kill the character. It doesn't remove these from the game. It's not surgical extraction for Magic players out there. It's an annoying card. It's frustrating. I know as a person who loves playing like Jon Snow, box Jon Snow decks, swinging for Jon Snow. Oh, I'm going to get my sweet Jon stand. Everything's going to be great. Martell player hits me. All my Jons are in the bin. That sucks. That's a bad feeling. But Jon is an overpush card. And Control needs to have answers to that. We need a meta that people don't feel comfortable 100% just relying on these characters. You played against Barracohor. This is a great answer to Barracohor if they don't see that Stannis. I think that this is a good card for the meta, actually. I know it's a feel-bad card, and it might not deserve to be printed simply because of the play patterns it encourages and the way it makes people feel. But I think on a pure metagame level, this is a good card to exist.
I mean, Control should exist in the meta. If you're going to have overpushed aggro cards out the wazoo, and like there's just a million overpushed mid-range aggro cards, you have to have a couple of overpushed control cards too. This is necessary, and this I think is
So
better for the game than Wheels. Wheels is very bad for the game. This is good for the game.
I want to dive back into what Abel and Rabs say here, though, that looking at your opponent's deck is the real OP thing, which is what Rabs says and Abel says. I think you gain an edge there, but at the end of the day, that's not the end of the world. Like I think that people overvalue that. Like if there was a card that said, look at your opponent's deck, say it's a 0 cost event or maybe a 1 cost event. It said, look at opponent's deck. That's a bad card, right? Yeah. Like, and in Thrones, like we now officially have slow play. One, you can't take notes in Thrones. That's another thing. Two, we now have officially slow play rules. So if your opponent is taking 5 minutes to go through your deck to remember every single card, judge, like my opponent, we officially have slow play rules. My opponent is doing this. So the fact that we don't have note taking, so then you need to have a Corey level memory to remember every card. Yes, you can look at your opponent's deck very quickly in like a minute and be like, okay, they're not running this card. Oh, it's a Martell deck. It's not running Tears. Cool, I know this now. That's cool. Like, but again, that's a good thing for control players because control players need to know what kind of threats that they're going to have to answer. And yes, it's scouting, but there's a variety of other forms of scouting. Like I'm not saying that it's a like not an advantage of the card, but I think if the card is overpowered, it is not overpowered because of that effect.
Mm-hmm. Um, it's a great card, right? Like it's one of the better cards in the game. It's one of the better cards in Martell. I just think that it's a dead faction, and this kind of effect, much like Wyman Once Upon a Time, becomes a necessity if the faction becomes unbalanced.
Like on the bottom end.
Like on the bottom end, yes. Obviously, you're not like. I mean, it's silly when a faction is one of the best two factions in the game, and you're like, hey, let's give it to Nerys. And we don't know who would do that, but like.
Or gives it Euron and Silence.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, and I agree, Rabs, in the chat. Like, I mean, the slow play rules. I mean, the warnings are not super effective in Thrones. I can tell you this as a former TO. And when you administer penalties or you give someone a benefit because they've been mistreated by slow play, it often leads to a backlash from Thrones players. Like, I understand, but I mean, there are now officially for the first time slow play rules in the tournament rules. So theoretically, if opponent spends 15 minutes going through your deck, they should receive a game loss based on FFG's rules. So, or even if they spend 10 minutes, even if they spend 5 minutes, like I think they should get a game loss. If someone spends 5 minutes sitting there going through your deck, I think they should get a game loss. Like 5 minutes, like, come on.
You don't have to convince me. Sounds right. As someone who that will never be the case with, I agree.
Well, Glazer is the opposite. Glazer should get penalties for fast play. I've seen your board states, Glazer.
Whatever.
All right, what do we think of the art of these two cards?
They're fine.
Well, they're
I'm
fine.
roses.
Like the Hugh Murdered Children looks like washed up L5R art. Is that the Viper?
That is the Viper.
Is it?
Oh, standing over the Hound. Yeah,
I get not the Hound, the Mountain.
the Mountain. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, it's been
Oh,
a
this
while
card's
since
a
I've actually
theme
thought about
fail,
that.
by the way,
Why?
because it's officially been spoiled in the show that Robert Strong is Gregor, and Gregor
Yeah,
is not dead. He's not discarded.
he's just
Now all
Gregor is discarded. Gregor is discarded. You can run both Gregor and you can run both the Mountain and Sir Robert Strong in the same deck.
fair, fair. I also don't know about Prince's Loyalist. Like that dude that he killed. I don't know. That it's not the
Um,
Prince's Loyalist. It's Prince's Loyalist. Excuse me.
yeah, I'm fine with it. It's. I don't want that to be super gory or realistic, so I'm fine with the way that looks.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't know. All this washed over 1.0, 1. Like CCG art is just pretty bad. Speaking of that, we have our
Looks
first Nice
the
Watch
worst
card.
start in the game.
If we say didn't reuse that, what is it, Dragon Fear or Dragon? What was that card? That has like the cartoony 90s
It's been
art.
a long time. I genuinely do not remember, sir.
Anyway, it's a one cost intrigue icon, one strength, non loyal, unique. Uh, Samwell Tarly, Stewart, no attachments except not weapon, excuse me, Raven. Action: Kneel Samwell Tarly to look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Switch one of those cards with a card in your hand, if able. Then place the remaining cards on the top of your deck in any order. Glazer.
Um, I don't know.
Dragon Fear. Thank you. Yes, Matt. Thank you.
So I don't know. I think I would replace the other Sam with this. I mean, the other Sam enables Hob,
I mean, it's a one drop,
but
right?
this counts one less. And it's not draw, but it's card, whatever goodness. I don't know. It's good. It's really good. I just
I
like
mean, it is card draw, right? Like,
yeah,
I
but
guess it's not draw. It's
so
like
is
card filtering, I guess, is the
yeah. The other one is straight card draw if you can win a challenge, and it enables Three Finger Hob, who's the best unrestricted character not in this pack. So like
All
I
right,
don't
but
know. I'm gonna give it a B. It's fine. I don't know if I run it over the other
so
one.
but we got to
It's
remember
good.
this, right? So this
It's
has
a one of,
it's a one
right? Like,
of well, it's a one for one,
hmm
and it's non-loyal. Let's remember that. So this is some of the first non-loyal draw that we've gotten,
no, it's not true.
or card filtering at the very least. Um, Secondly, the sort of to put it into magic terms, because I actually think it's easier to understand. It's kind of like scry 4. Put one of those cards in your trade one of those cards with a card in your hand, but then you get to rearrange the cards, right? So you know
Yeah, the rearrange in any order is really, really strong.
it's
That's
really
true.
strong, right? Because if you use it in plot, right, you go, all right, look at the top 4 cards in my
Yeah.
deck.
Okay. I'm sold. I'm
Uh,
playing it. You're right. I'm
yeah,
up.
like look at the top 4 cards in my deck. Take the best one of those, switch it for the limited location in my hand. Put the 2 best cards on the top, the 2 worst cards on the bottom, and then I mean, that's pretty
Yep.
good, right? You're going to draw the 2 best cards of those 4, or
Yep.
5, right? The best 4 cards of those 5. You're gonna see.
Right.
So,
Right. And then you can keep doing it. Yeah.
yeah,
No. You're right. I'm switching to this one. I mean, it's still only a one of, but that yeah, it's a B.
yeah. It
And
might be a 2. I mean, he could end up being in like a hobby level. Like he could end up being that good
I
because
don't think
again,
he's
I
no.
mean, he's super good on setup, right?
Yes, yes, but I think he's a one of. Like Night's Watch doesn't have space for two. Like he's just so good.
Fair, fair, fair. But this is an extremely strong card. But the art is easily the worst. I mean, it looks like a high school picture of me, to be honest. Uh, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a Old Bear Mormont, who is a unique, loyal 2 strength, 3 cost, red and blue icons, commander and lord, action. Kneel Old Bear Mormont to choose and stand another Night's Watch or Lord character.
Hilarious with Hard Home. Go ahead.
Yes. Reaction. After a character you control is killed, stand Old Bear Mormont. I think he's
Um,
playable.
I think you run him in every deck. I don't see why you wouldn't run a one of.
That's fair. I mean, but well, one the key thing about him is of all the unique main characters in the book series,
Yeah,
he's the first playable version of his type, right? Like, I mean, I guess the six drop saw some play.
the six step's not terrible. It's just not great. But yeah,
I mean,
no,
we played it as a 1X in the Night's Watch Reigns that we took to Gen Con. He was fine
so
the one time I drew him.
well, this is only a 1X. It's just like I think the only character you really want to like. This is good with Sam, and it's good with
John,
It's not. It's good
all the
with John.
Johns.
All the Johns. It's good with Amon. It's good with Half Hand.
Uh,
It's good in any banner, right?
yeah. It's
Yeah.
good. Well, it can't. Well, it's good with banners. It can't be in banners. It's loyal.
Yes, yes, with banners.
I'm trying to think of the. I mean, it's good with any of the high costs. Like, it's
I
even
mean,
good with ranging
you know
parties,
who it
right?
you know what it's really good with? Jesus Christ. What's his name? Maester Mullen.
Oh yeah, yeah. All
Told you
right.
Mullen was good, by the way. I'm gonna hold that over you
Yeah, that's
while
fair.
we're here.
That's fair.
Uh, like it's good with just any of the good challengey bodies, right? Like yeah. You just I mean I think you just stick one in every Night's Watch deck. It's like a spare boot. Like you just run a spare boot. You just run I don't know. You just run. Well, God, Night's Watch got real good. You just run a Mulling. You just run a name on it when you can. Like you just run one of these. I think that makes it a B. Like by definition.
Uh, well, yeah, and as Matt points out, playing it with Sam is really good. I think just basically with any 4 cost or higher Night's Watch card, though, it's good, right? It's good with ranging party. So you get an attack and defense out of a ranging party. Um, you get 2 attacks out of a ranging party. Like, it's just action advantage, right? Like, I mean, one of
Yeah.
the things that
Well, it's not action advantage. It's action
a co-
equal. It's just
no,
it's
because
well, because you're kneeling him, right?
you're kneeling him, but you're standing a more valuable card, right? Like,
Right.
right. I
Yeah.
mean, like, uh, it's action advantage in that way, right?
hmm hmm
And I think that Night's Watch actually doesn't have a huge amount of ways besides Castle Black and John for that kind of action advantage. So adding redundancy there is not necessarily good in a grand scheme of things, but good for Night's Watch. So and I like this Gimlead up version of Old Bear Mormont a lot. I definitely agree with you, Aaron. So I'd give him an A.
Yeah. That's
So
fine.
we have an S and an A here.
No,
A
I'm
and an
still
A.
in. I'm at I'm at B and a B.
B and a B. You really think that Sam is not an A
I mean, I
or
think
an
if
A
you're running
minus?
one, I think you're running one of it's a B, like by
That's fair.
definition.
That's fair.
Like this isn't first edition. Where like in first edition, I think it would be like an A, but in second edition, that you're running one and one. Like I have to find 2 slots in every Night's Watch deck. Should this be legal? And that's B. Like definitively to me, they're good Bs, right? Like, but that's what a B is. Like if I'm running a one of in every deck, that's what a B is.
All right. So again, art's terrible. I mean, the old Bear
I,
Mormont's fine.
I like Old Bear. That just Sam looks like his
Me
face is.
in high school. It's
Yeah,
really sad.
actually, almost exactly like you in high school. Jesus.
I know it's really sad.
Congrats on your champ card.
Well, you know what? All things considered, I could definitely do worse. This is something like what I would design.
I got my champ card. You got yours.
So this is definitely like something I would design if I was a game designer. Um, so we have Catelyn Stark, which is a 4 cost, 4 strength, intrigue, power. She's House Tully, loyal, of course. Lady, action. During a intrigue or power challenge in which you are the defending player, put Catelyn Stark into play from your hand, dealt, participating as the defender. At the end of the phase, if Catelyn Stark is still in play, return her to your hand. Jumping Cat is what she was called in first edition.
She was unbelievable. I don't think she matters in second edition. I think the other cats are too much better than she is.
Is Corcat too much better than she is?
Yeah,
In the current
like
meta, like, I mean,
I mean, you can't do anything. Like especially with shadows everywhere, with the stupid the stupid red keep, with general bullshit being stopped. Especially if you can get a military icon on her, and you can shut up all the Sea of Blood stuff.
fair.
There's attachments to let her participate in military challenges even without like all that stuff is just better than like yeah sure jump in 4 like jump in 4 strength for free because you're never marshaling her unless you really have to. I don't know. I think she's like a C. I don't think she's a bad
I
card.
mean, I don't think you were ever marshaling her, right? I can't even.
Well, I mean, yeah,
because
sure you can.
because
Like
she stays
the
the entire
board, the
phase, right? So if you need to use her,
yeah,
like your opponent has to do things in a certain way.
sure, but like if the
Like
board
even
is
when I saw
empty,
her used,
board is empty, and you want to win a power or intrigue challenge, you just
fair,
marshal her.
fair, fair. I
You top
guess
deck her, and you need a claim soak. Like there's plenty of times you marshal her.
fair, fair. I mean, I'm just trying to think of like the times I've seen her used as a claim, but it's like that's a first edition thing because like almost always first edition opened with the intrigue challenge. Um,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
that's
I've
not always the
also
case in second edition.
I mean, she'll also work on power, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've marshaled both her and Jumper Drogo. God, I wish Jumper Drogo was in this.
Why do you wish that card would be straight up busted? Not that the
I
tar
loved,
cards aren't.
I loved him, and I don't like the tar cards we got. So,
I mean,
all
uh,
right. So, what's your rating for her? I'm a C.
I think she's a B. I think she's a. I think
A B means like a one of in every deck.
yeah. I think you. I think she replaces Cat like a core Cat in some Stark mid range decks.
Can't do it. Can't do it. I
Okay.
wouldn't replace Cat in any big cat deck. I obviously
Oh,
wouldn't put
obviously,
her.
Big Cat's a different thing. So,
Okay.
um, but
Snowcastle.
can I talk about this art a little bit? Like, I don't think this art fits Catelyn at all, like Catelyn
I get.
Stark. But I'm just mesmerized by it. I've been mesmerized by it since the first time I saw it in first edition. Like, is it just I don't know what it is about this art, but it's just so weird. Why does she have a tiara on? Did Cat wear a tiara in the books? I don't understand it. Like it's like weirdly like 70s book cover art in a way that I find very alluring. It's very strange. So, anyway. Uh, But Snowcastle is a unique one cost House Aaron non loyal Stark card. Action kneel Snowcastle to choose a Stark character. Until end of the phase, that Stark character gets +1 strength for each Stark character you control. This is a B by definition, right? In your
So it's not.
you think it's
Oh,
an
it is
A?
unique. Um,
It is unique, yeah.
if it's unique, I thought it was not unique in my head for some reason. I think. Do I run this? I don't
I
think I
mean,
run this.
definitely Stark X runs this.
Yes. Crossing runs this. Does anything else?
I think the mid range does. Like, I mean,
Okay, might. Yeah, I'm gonna say B minus. I think it's probably
all
good.
Stark decks run only Stark at this point, right?
Yeah,
So for
that's
one
not the
gold
case.
you get, there's
Plus, however many dudes you have out strength. Yes.
yes. So this shores
Oh.
up some bad Stark matchups, like Tar can sometimes give Stark some issues. We'll get to a card 2 cards from now that this is useful to have. Uh, it's until the end of the phase effect, so you can open the phase with it, which is really powerful.
Yeah.
So against Targaryen. So I don't know. I think
I
this
don't
is
know.
a solid B. By your definition that you said earlier, I think this
I
is a
think
B.
it's a. I think it's a B minus. I think it's in most decks. I think I can see it getting bumped for space.
Yeah, I mean, but we were down on the other one drop location.
Yeah. Look,
Uh,
I'm willing. I'm willing to be wrong, right? Like I think it just straight up replaces that in any deck that was running that.
yeah, because it never turns off, right? Well, it never gets worse, right?
Right. It
Well, it
doesn't take the
does.
challenge and all
Uh,
that other stuff.
yeah, all that other stuff. All right. Start cards in general.
Oh wait, hang on. This is my pick for worst art in the pack.
Well, it's Sansa's castle she builds, right?
Oh, is it?
Yes, because
Wait,
that's
Sansa
why it's
builds a
House
sandcastle?
Aaron. It's made out of snow. It's when she builds Winterfell in the
Oh,
fourth
the
book,
motherfucker
and
deck.
then Robin comes in and smashes it.
I don't remember that. Okay, that makes me hate it
It's
less. I thought it was supposed to be a real castle.
no,
Okay,
no.
never mind. It's
It's
not the worst
very.
art. It looks like what it's supposed to be. I don't
Yeah.
remember that scene
I
at
mean, it's
all, but
not particularly good art, but like that's hashtag thematic that scene. So
sure. Okay, fine. I take it back.
yeah.
Not the worst art.
So
I don't know. I think Stark kind of got the shaft. They're our worst faction so far. No, Greyjoy's real not
I think great. This is
impressive.
definitely better than
Yeah,
Greyjoy's art.
this is better than Greyjoy. So far, I think Lannister got best because Wheels is so busted. Martell got second best. Then it's a toss up between Barra and Night's Watch. then Stark, then Greyjoy.
Yeah, Rabs agrees with me, by the way, about that's why it has the House Aaron trait. Super.
Yeah, good. I mean, I totally stopped remembering Thrones lore since I hate the lore now. But okay.
I mean, the show did poison the lore. But you know what's not poison? John Bruno. And John
I
Bruno's.
mean, I hope not. Jesus Christ, that was a terrible transition. Are you planning on poisoning John
I said what's
Bruno? Or
not
just
poison. What I'm trying to say is John Bruno is amazing. And
oh, I thought you were just
John's a
covering
sweetheart,
his
although he is on fire in this card. Uh, and this is a 5 cost, 4 strength, green and blue, unique, loyal tag character, Mad King Eris, King Lord, prize 1, renown, playable there. Mad King Eris cannot be killed unless an opponent controls lady, a lord or lady character, or Sir Jaime Lannister. Dominance action. Neo Mad King Eris to choose and kill a lord or lady character, limit once per round.
I mean, if there's if there's ever someone that should have been a 7 coster, it's this guy.
8 coster. I mean, easily. Right?
7, I think, is fine. But yeah, any like
I mean,
real.
the drawback is much more of a drawback in second edition.
Yeah, except that they have to have 2 lords.
I mean, if Eris is standing.
Yeah, but why would you nail him if you know that that's
Oh,
what
but then you're not using your 5 cost character. Like, I
that,
mean,
you are though. You're using
you
him for
are
an
in
extra.
dominance, but a lot of things in second edition can happen between, like, through a challenges
Yeah,
phase to dominance.
that's fair. That's fair. I think
I mean, he's strong. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think he's an.
uh,
Is he S
he
or is he
belongs.
A?
No, he's A. He's just A.
He's just A. Yeah.
Um,
I was super surprised that they reprinted this card because do you
your
remember how
your
busted this card was?
yeah, it was one of my favorite cards. He was also in the Aloof and Apart with dragons.
Oh,
Um,
oh yes, he was
but
5 cost, by the way.
yes,
So there was no exponential increase in his
he was
cost.
he was one of the 2 5 costers in second edition. 2 5 cost uniques in second
Is
edition.
actually this is
I
just
can think of that saw play before Aloof and Apart.
is this literally just a reprint? Like it's the entire like could you except for the loyal trait, could
I
you
don't know.
literally just run the first edition
I, I
card?
I would check card game DB, but I don't really want any viruses on my computer. So
Was it prize 2? No, it was prize 1, right?
no, it's priced one. They added, yeah. Matt says they just added the loyal banner. I think that he is genuinely great. But I think he's an A.
He's definitely an A. I mean, I think there's a lot of things Targaryen, particularly I think this is a great backup character for Targ Voltron decks as well. Um, like if something bad happens to Danny, well, here you have an even harder to kill character that has renown,
Then I Yorin him.
protects his. You can Yorin him. That's true. You
I
can.
Yorin him to kill your Danny and win the game.
That would be so great. Oh my god. Oh, this is
So
making me.
much,
That right there is making me wish that I was playing Night's Watch and playing against this card at Worlds. Oh,
much like Ward Unrestricted made people reconsider 4 costers. I think Yorin's presence in the meta should make this kind of 5 coster more questionable, which is to me, I think, the biggest reason he's an A and not an F, an S. Excuse me.
fair. I still think he sees a lot of play.
Oh yeah, definitely.
At
It's
least
just, I
what?
think
Do you think he's
maybe.
a 3 of in Targ decks or 2?
I mean, I don't think Tark has space for him as a 3. I think he's a 1,
A 1.
maybe 2, maybe 2. Pure attack.
You want to see him every game. All right. So while Glazer is using the bathroom, I'll talk to Chad. So Chad, how are you doing?
No, you can go on. I was blowing my nose. I don't have
Oh,
to
okay,
go.
okay. I thought you were actually leaving. All right. Let's go to. All right. Top 5 most broken cards in the pack comes to this next one.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? All right. Well, we'll get there. I always overestimate burn. That's one of my flaws as an analyst. So we'll get there. Is a 2 cost loyal event, the Hatchling's Feast action. Choose 3 characters without attachments. Until the end of the phase, one of those characters gets -1 strength, one gets -2 strength, one gets -3 strength. Aaron?
If Burn still exists, this is a T1 card, right? Like, 5 cost Danny absolutely adores this card. If that deck is real, and I believe it is with Shadows, right?
I mean, it makes Dracarys, right? Without having to participate in anything. It's
Well,
in any phase action with Danny,
if you can
right?
do it in whatchamacallit.
In any phase, if you got 5 cost
Without
Danny.
attachments is silly. But yeah,
I mean, that
without a
attachments gives some
thanks.
play, I
Add
guess.
but whatchamacallit, if Shadow Pit is viable and Stalik seems to have suggested it is, then this card is amazing because now it's -4, -3, -2, and if Danny is out, it's -5, -4, -3, and that's just a board wipe. It's phenomenal in that exact situation. I'm not sure how reliable the situation is going to be. I think this card is completely amazing. In a normal pack, in a normal meta, this would be one of the best. I think it's at best the fourth best card we've talked about so far today, probably fifth.
I don't know. Like, I think that this card's just strong. I mean, I think that the fact that you can pay for it without playing around on a Blood of the Dragon turn, um, where
Yeah,
it's two
get up to
strength, three strength, and four
you can
strength
get up you can
characters.
get up to -6 pretty easily on that Blood of the Dragon turn in
Yeah, and like it can on a Blood of the Dragon turn it's a not a 2 for 1, it can be a 3 or 4 for 1, and that is not magical Christmas land because you don't need to have any economy cards or Danny for this to hit a 4 strength character, which hits majority of cards in the game, and
yeah. Look,
yeah,
it's an
like
S card. I just think we're
like
underestimating how completely goddamn stupid this pack is.
I mean yes,
I don't think it's better than Wheels.
no, it's not better than Wheels, but
And
it's
I don't think it's better than the first two agendas we talked about. And I think it's an argument whether it's better than You Murder for Children or this.
I think it's up there with You Murdered Her Children. Like
It's
so the
close.
question is this was a control card, right? If I remember right
Yeah,
in first
well,
edition.
it was. But the issue is for this is do the decks that want this still exist to the extent that this season of play?
Uh, I'm not sure.
Like
I will actually be right back, Aaron. I just remembered something. Hold on.
oh, okay. So I'm gonna say this, and Roy's not gonna hear it, I guess. But if half the meta is Cohort and Valerian Steel, this loses key targets. Further, New Danny is so good, like now you're losing all the targets for that kind of deck, and this doesn't go in a New Danny deck. So like as good as it is, You Murder Her Children just automatically slots through in every Martell deck, and this is a specific target deck, so I'm not sure that exists. Make sense, everyone? Hmm. All right. Any questions from the chat? Yeah, it should have been 3 cost Rebs. 2 cost is the actual problem of this. Oh, is Burn great at the moment, Buzz? Like specifically against attachments, specifically when these cards come out, is there enough cancel and other stuff to stop this in Burn?
I have returned. So
Hey, well,
what did you tell our loyal listeners?
I'm not repeating it for you.
Oh, okay.
No, my answer was attachments should be very prevalent in the meta. The short version, attachments should be very prevalent in the meta, and Targ seems to be favoring a different type of deck, so I'm not sure if this still is good.
Oh yeah, I mean Targ is definitely. I'm favoring a different type of deck. I mean, you and I both believed that Incinerate was going to blow Burn right open, right?
I mean, it still
That has
may
not
have.
happened. So, all right. So overall, what do we think about the Targ cards? I think they're extremely
I mean,
strong.
Starg is the faction that got off the best as far as both cards by far so far.
By far, by far. I mean, there's only one more, so we'll see if Tyrell can live up to this.
They
Uh,
cannot.
so that brings us to Queen of Thorns, who is a 3 for 3 green and blue unique non-loyal lady character. While Queen of Thorns is standing, opponents cannot initiate intrigue challenges against you.
So obnoxious. I hate that design. It's apparently like a promo from the CCG, which is well before I played. I just hate the design. I think it's completely obnoxious.
It's obnoxious, but like, is it good?
Think so. Just stand and you can't intrigue me? Yeah, that seems solid.
Yeah, and it's efficient, right? 3 for 3, 2 icons.
Like, you're not running it in Shadows, because there's a different Queen of Thorns in Shadows, but like,
And I guess it outclasses the 5-drop Queen of Thorns.
yeah.
Even though,
Like, you just leave it standing, right? Like, and then if you try and go second, and then it doesn't matter, right? Like, she kneels Heart's Desire. And she's especially good with the next card. I think she's
well,
probably
I mean, they're just clearly designed to synergize together, right? It's Olenna Studies, the next card. I mean, I'll just read the next card so we can talk about them together, right? Olenna Studies, 3 cost, non-loyal, Highgarden traded location. Each player may initiate an additional intrigue challenge each round. Non-unique characters cannot be declared as attackers or defenders in intrigue challenges against you.
So this is probably these two are probably really good in that Scantrell deck.
You
The
have to be,
little
if you be more specific, I'm sorry.
the Scantrell Trail Crossing that he went nearly undefeated with at your tournament.
At the Oktoberfest.
Sure,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Your tournament, whatever it was called.
Oktoberfest is not my tournament, but I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think definitely Olena's study is powerful. It's really like three gold though is always a tricky spot for locations, right?
Yeah, I mean, second entry challenge for both players is real strong.
It is real strong. I mean, it's one of those
And
ones that
like
if your
and
deck
stopping
can't abuse it, right,
well,
then you won't
like
play
and
it.
if yeah, and if you're like right, like I think this is only really a home and rush, and like A, you don't care about even if you don't have Queen of Thorns eating that second intrigue against Rush, and B, taking away so many defenders in Rush is really powerful.
Right. The fact you can get two challenges that they can't super defend. And particularly, there's some factions where almost all of their intrigue icons are on non-unique characters, like Greyjoy,
Martell, Martell,
Martell, Stark. Like
mm-hmm.
in some ways, is not is like that.
Yeah,
Uh, excuse me. I mean, Night's Watch.
yeah, man. That's what has a lot of intrigue icons now.
That's fair. That's fair.
They're running Clytus and Hob
Uh, yeah, Ed when you see him occasionally, I guess.
and Samuel Tarley.
That's
Yeah,
true. That's true. But yeah, I mean, maybe we're I don't know. Maybe we're overrating it. I don't know. These. I
yeah. I
don't
think
know.
that like if you're running both, I think there would be.
Okay. There B. I mean, I'll get behind that B. What do you think about the art?
I don't know. They're fine. There's nothing notable. I don't like the art on Hatchling's Feast though, which we didn't talk about.
Oh yeah, I don't mind it. I think it fits
Mm,
what it fits what it does. I don't like the Olenna art.
I'm fine with it. She's an old woman standing by a fire. I mean, I don't know.
I don't. I don't know. Like I think that both other Olennas have better art, or all three. I guess there's three Olennas now. So I think all three other Olennas that are currently printed in second edition. So there'll be four Olennas. That's actually right.
After zero in first edition, I believe, right?
No, there was the passive power Queen of Thorns, right?
Oh, okay. I don't remember, but sure, I'll take you.
The one that like gains a
Uh,
power whenever a
is
card
there
comes out of
as many?
shadows.
I don't know. Are there as many Olenna as there are of anything else? There's officially more Olenna than Cat, right?
There's this cat, forecast cat here, forecast cost cat from the core, and then the box cat. So that's three.
Yeah,
There are
four Olennas,
four Elenas,
three Dannies,
three Dannies, four
mhm,
Johns, three Johns.
three three Drogos. There are four Johns because one is a Stark John.
Oh, yep. So there are four star. So it ties with John. Bob, there's three.
Three.
There's two Red Vipers, three Renleys.
Yeah, there's apparently four Arya.
Oh yeah, well, there's like five Arias.
No, there's four, aren't there?
There's
No, there's five.
there's core
No, there's four.
Aria, there's box Aria, there's murder Aria, there's new murder Aria, there's Ari if we want to be like
Yeah,
super
pedantic. Yeah.
pedantic. Uh,
So,
so
yeah.
she's up there
Okay.
though. She's up there
Yeah.
with Jon Snow, nominally, who is literally, spoiler alert if you watch the show, the hero of the series. Uh, she has the same number of characters.
Yeah. That
So,
seems a bit overkilly.
I mean, there's not that many like well-known Tyrell characters, so
That's
people
true. So they just kept making her to be like, whatever.
and people love Queen of Thorns, right? Like, I mean, she's definitely one of the most popular characters in the show.
Yeah, she's the most popular troll character without any real competition.
Marjorie's up there. Like, show Marjorie. People
Okay.
love Marjorie, man.
Are there four Marjories?
There's three, right? There's Core, Box, and I hate the name, all the different names for her, but the Big Marge.
Tinder.
Yeah, I don't like any of them.
I'm fine with Tinder March.
Yeah, whatever.
All right.
All right. So that brings us to the neutral cards. Oh, we already talked about the art, right? So Littlefinger is a 6 cost green blue 3 strength unique character. Littlefinger, ally, lord, stealth. Littlefinger does not kneel when declared as an attacker. Interrupt. When the effects of an event would initiate, kneel Littlefinger to cancel those effects. This was a Stark card, right? This was the Stark Lannister one.
Uh, he did not kneel to cancel events in first edition. He kneeled to cancel events in the CCG.
Okay.
But yes, otherwise you are correct.
Okay. Uh, yeah, he's good. Really fucking good. So, I mean,
I
he's a
think
B
he's S
plus.
tier.
S. You think
No,
he's that
he's
high?
S. I think he's S tier. I think given the events in this pack, I don't know why you wouldn't run 3 of him.
3.
Because, like, well, look, ready? How are you burning him? With a what? Wheels within wheels. You murdered her children. Westeros bleeds. Narrow escape.
Fair,
Like,
fair.
seductive,
Well,
um, put to the sword. Put to the, like, whatever the problem is,
he
Littlefinger
salted.
is just bound from the wall, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
just like, I don't want to. What he says is, I don't want to deal with your stupid, busted bullshit in this box, and I can still attack for both intrigue and power stealth without kneeling.
That's
I don't
fair.
know why you're not running like in any deck that's running big guys and not shadows,
I
right?
mean, he
Like I don't
definitely
know.
pushes you towards Aloof, right?
Sure, but like I think the Valerian Steel decks run 3 of him.
Yeah. He's good in Cohor, actually.
He's good in everything.
Yeah. I
Like
mean,
literally, like he's good in everything, but I think shadows.
well, because Shadows can't afford a 6 cost non-Shadows character.
Like even then, like he's not terrible in shadows because he just stands there and challenges,
Right.
right?
What is the Shadows? Isn't there a Shadows Littlefinger?
There is, but he's bad.
He's bad, right? Okay. Didn't we think he was good? I can't
It's
remember.
because we read him wrong.
Ah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't know if S tier. I wouldn't go S tier, but you have definitely convinced me to make him an A.
I mean, like he if I want to play like if I want to play Westeros Bleeds now, like the events are too good in this pack, and they're too hard to cancel with Hand's Judgment.
No, that's
Kneel
definitely
him to
true.
do it. Kneel him to do it is just cool. Like whatever one was going to be a problem is now not a problem.
It's true.
Like every card we've said is busted, or every card. Yeah, no, the cards we've said are busted. Every S tier
I mean, the events
card
are
has.
pushed in this. Like, I think what I'm gonna
Okay,
scroll real quick.
ready?
All
There's
right, hold on. Let's
Wheels,
look at events. Wheels busted. You murder
Wheels
her children
murdered,
busted.
Hatchling's Feast,
Busted.
Heads on Pikes,
Busted.
great, Narrow Escape. So,
Fine.
yeah,
Selective
ridiculously busted.
Selective Promise is okay. Like, it's not that great.
Seductive is the one that's not that great, and Westeros
It's
Bleeds
busted.
busted. So great. If you are running one of those factions and can't be running those cards, you will. Like, you should be running Littlefinger.
That's fair. But I still think he's A. I still think he's on S. But
Okay.
all right, Vale Refugee. Oh, art. What do we think? I don't like the art.
This art is terrible and weird,
It
and it
looks
doesn't
like
look anything.
those weird free comics that you see float around that like you can get at your
Yeah,
dentist's office. It's like that level of art.
yeah.
Um,
There's something wrong with this art. Like very wrong with this art.
yeah. This person just like really liked Rob Liefeld. Uh, all right, so we got Vale Refugee, 1 strength, Tricon, 0 cost, WTF. Ally House Aaron. Forced reaction. After dominance is determined, if you did not win, discard Veil Refugee from play unless you pay 2 gold.
So every deck runs 3. It's S tier by definition, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I think I even run 3 in Shadows decks. Like, where am I not running 3 of this?
right. I mean, there's a reason why this card was restricted. So there was actually a cycle of every faction refugee cards that more or less had the same text. They weren't all
Well,
Tricons. They weren't all
there
Tricons.
were all Bicons that were 0 for 2, and the
0 for
Veil
2,
was a
yeah.
0 for 1 Tricon. Yeah.
Yes. Uh, the whole cycle, including this neutral one, was restricted for a good long while, right, Glazer?
No,
Um,
not for long now. For a little bit.
for a while, or a little bit, okay. But Veil Refugee never left the restricted list as long as I played. Um, and I don't know why this card was printed. Like they've tried, like zero cost. I actually think that the refugee cycle, like a faction specific refugee cycle, is much more interesting than this card. Um, yeah, I mean this card's busted with 3 flea bottom. This card, yeah, I mean, and like zero cost shitty characters in Thrones, like
Setup.
really,
Right.
yeah,
Setup
like
is
it really pushes setup. And I'm actually one of those people. One of the things, and I really should make the video series that I want to make about like reflecting on 2.0 overall on a design level. I think things that push setup are bad for the game. Um, and like cards that scream, you see this on setup, your game is going to be much better, are bad. And this is definitely one of those cards. Um, in fact, I mean that's the risk you play on it, right,
Yep.
Aaron? Like it's a relatively bad top deck.
I
Um,
mean, it's an okay top deck. It's not that bad of a top deck.
I mean it's
Like
not, but it's a body for a
and
turn, right?
but the game is also like ridiculously abundant in draw right now.
That's fair.
Like I can't think of anything that's not drawing at least one card a turn, often more. Like even Lannister Shadows is just like, oh yeah, sure, I'll take a bunch of extra cards.
No. You've definitely seen a lot of these cards. No, I
Like
think
it's just
the fact that this should probably be played in Shadows decks.
yeah.
It has zero synergy. It has counter synergy in some ways because
Mm-hmm.
many Shadows decks just want to have no characters on board at first
Please don't play it because
because it's a draw card, right? It reads set this up, draw card,
yeah,
and you have a body.
and you have a nice body for turn one. Military no longer matters turn one
Hmm.
unless you're playing
And then
whatever.
if for some reason you're running flea bottom, this is not. I'm not talking about Shadows in particular. It's first turn you have a body that's either claim soak. If it's not claim soak and you have to sacrifice it, that's fine because you just bring it back.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, cool.
Cool.
So S.
S tier. Yeah.
Also, this art is fine.
It's fine. I'm still not super fond of it, but I'm fine. All right. So I'm gonna read this card real quick, and I'm only gonna let Glazer talk about it because that's not true. But this card actually has a story behind it between Aaron and the Proto Long Lances. So, uh,
Really?
yeah, High Ground. It is a one-cost Westeros traded location. Challenges action. Kneel High Ground to choose and stand an army character. What do you think about this card, Aaron?
Is this our drunk driver deck card? It
Yes, it
was two
is.
cost of position.
No,
So
was it?
it's not
Was it?
unique. Yeah.
It's
It
not
was
unique. Yeah, I apologize. It's not unique.
so it's important that it's not unique because basically you can just do whatever the hell you want with armies. Like you just start standing and kneeling armies. This is going to be really good in Martell Wars.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be good in Night's Watch too.
Pretty good at Night Watch, like busted in Martell Wars.
Standing again. Like Ranger Party is still one of the most powerful cards in the game.
Do they have a lot of other armies though? Because you don't want to run it with just one.
No, there's other ones. They're like marginal. There's that like one that lets you stand the defenders.
I'm looking.
I'd have to
You,
look.
all
Yeah.
right, tell the story. We'll like it.
Anyway, the story is this. So when we were testing for Gen Con 2015, because it was right after my wife and I met, Aaron got obsessed with this Martell Aloof and Apart deck.
I didn't get obsessed with it. We couldn't beat it.
Well, he got obsessed. Look, Naj and Dan will vouch me for
There's
this.
only three.
All right.
Garrison at the Wall, Protectors of the Realm, and Raging Party. Probably
That's
not
about
much
as many armies as you were running in this deck, Glazer.
I was running like 7 armies.
All right, which was built around Martell 7-cost armies, using its restricted card as Viper's Bannerman, if I remember correct, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And it ran over so much in our testing. John called it the Little Shitters deck. Glazer called it what would you call it, Aaron?
It's the drunk driver.
The drunk driver, because Glazer was frequently drunk and just smashing a bunch of tier 1 decks.
I mean, it felt constantly like you were in no control of the game as you just like smashed everything. It was ridiculous because there was the one that you like. There was the draw 2. There was, I mean, Viper's Bannerman. There was like this big deadly stealth thing that no one really played in anything else. This was Aloof and Apart, and like you just stuck all the big ass armies in there.
Oh yeah, I mean, again,
And
Viper
then
Bannerman for what was it?
Yeah.
4? right? Because was it 5 or 6 cost?
It was 7. Pepper's banner
Oh,
was
it was
7.
7. So for
So it
5.
became a 5, and like it was busted anyway, and it was just you just smashed everything. You just completely smashed
Yeah, I
everything.
mean, this is good in Martell Wars, as James points out as Abel points out in the chat. It's also really good in Targ.
Yeah,
Targ has a ton of armies, particularly Dothraki. It's a Dothraki card.
I
So
mean, yeah,
standing rating Khalasars.
yeah, it seems good. Might be a thing you want to do.
Yeah. So sadly, can't give anything the army trait, but very powerful. So what do we think this card is? I think it's a B minus.
Yeah, I was gonna say C plus. Where it is very niche and not where the meta is. I think it's very good design.
I don't think it's very
It
good
pushes,
design.
so
Like,
no, I think it pushes a thing that's never really been pushed in this. Never really been pushed in the game, and it
yeah,
never will be
armies. But the
pushed since
problem
this is the
is,
last pack.
I think the existence of Martell Wars makes this not an interesting design.
A Martell. So the thing is, Martell has 4 armies. It's
Yeah,
just
but
that
they're really fucking good in that deck.
2 of them are very good. One is fine, and one you're not running.
Okay, so what's the one you're not running?
Memory Race Guard is terrible.
Oh yeah, that one is bad.
So
Is
Knights
that
of
the one we fought over when we reviewed the Martell box?
I hated it, so I doubt it.
Who
Four
did we
gold to
review the
stand.
box with? I'll have to go back.
Yeah, I
Was
don't
Luke still on the show?
maybe. Knights of the Sun is good. Starfall Cavalry is great right now because cities, and Host of the Boneway is obviously the one that you really
Is
want. So
busted, and it's
yeah,
busted with this card. Host,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, double intimidate. Thank
Yeah,
you. So you're
with the
saying minimum you're running 6 to 8 to between what six
I
and
think I'm
nine
running
armies? That
8,
seems like enough to be running two.
maybe 7, 7 or 8.
I
Yeah,
said
I
six
mean
to nine. I said six to nine.
it's
Like I was.
close to run 2. I wish there was a neutral army, but I don't think there is that really would fit in that deck. Because like that's borderline for running
What
2.
about that Wildling army? They use plus two
Yeah.
strength when you kneel faction card. Oh,
Well, you don't
that's
really
counter
want to
synergy with
You don't
with.
really want the protection in that deck.
But
Army, and let's check neutral. Yeah,
what's
it's borderline. It's probably good. I think I'm at C plus. Like I like it
I'll
a
go
lot.
with B minus. I do think it will at least somewhat rejuvenate the Martell Wars. Uh, but that brings us to King's Landing, which is a unique 3 cost location contested. Heyo, for Lay Siege, right? If Lay Siege is the one that kills contested.
Whoa, poor fellows.
Poor Fellows is an army.
Yeah.
All right.
So I
Anyway,
might run poor fellows in it. Warrior Sons, no one cares. Well, my Horde, no one cares.
King's Landing 3 cost contested. King's Landing. Spoiler: it's a King's Landing location named King's Landing. Its unique reaction: after you marshal location, draw 1 card. Limit 3 times per round.
I mean,
All right. Well, we famously overestimated the last time the King's Landing was printed, which was the 4 drop that lets you recycle locations
yeah,
and
only.
draw cards. Never really came together. We thought it would. Um,
I don't
what
know.
about this one, Glazer? Let's overrate this one.
I think I was gonna give it a B plus. I think most decks want one.
I mean, yeah, I mean the fact that most decks are still running the Rose Road, and
I mean, like,
it's a weird design, right? Like limit 3 times
so
per round. I mean, most
so
decks are not capable of playing 3 locations in 1 round outside of Martell.
sure. It immediately cantrips,
Right,
right?
because it can trigger off itself.
Right. So you play it, you get a card, and then from then on, any other
As
cards
long
you
as you
play.
don't set it up, yeah.
Yeah. So from then on, and even then it replaces itself, right? So like, because it's still cantripping on setup by definition. Everything cantrips on setup.
But that's fair.
But like, so it's automatically. Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't run up at least one, maybe two. So I'm gonna go B plus.
Fair. All right. B plus seems about right to me. We haven't spoken about the art for High Ground or King's Landing.
High ground is weird looking, but fine. I really wish it was just Star Wars art. Um, King's Landing's art I actually like.
Yeah, it's good. Um, is this a 1 point? Because it must
No,
be a CCG card,
gotta be
right?
CCG.
It's gotta be
I've never seen
CCG.
King's Landing before. Yeah.
All right. So The next is one we definitely saw in first edition. It is
Come to the next busted card.
a contested Westeros prize 2 unique location that costs 3 gold, and it is called Harrenhal. It has the text of, if Harrenhal has 3 or more ghost counters on it, sacrifice it. How does it get those ghost counters on it, you might ask? Interrupt. When the effects of a non-plot, non-agenda, there we go, triggered ability would initiate, kill a character you own and control. To own and control, so they have the errata from first edition fixed. You own and control to cancel those effects. Place a ghost token on Harrenhal. Limit once per phase. Aaron?
I mean, this is the best card in the pack.
It is very strong. They definitely this is the
No,
errata.
no, no. This is the best card in the pack. It's not very strong. They printed refugees with this. This is
That's
the best
fair.
card.
That's fair. It
This
was
is
super
the
good with refugees.
single best card in the pack. Like, I don't know what else to
I'm really
say.
surprised it doesn't have max 1 per phase, because you can still do that stupid thing. Well, I mean, I guess it's 3 gold now. But you do that stupid thing in the marshalling
It's always three.
phase and
It's
cancel
always,
their. It was 2 gold. In
no, I'm pretty sure it was three.
I'm pretty sure it was 2. Because 2 gold was 3 gold. Like, on a slot space. I could be wrong, but.
It's the best card in the pack.
Because you could do that stupid thing you could do. Remember, like, when you could, like, all right, you had 2 gold counters on in the marshalling phase. Your opponent, you cancel their, because this chokes. Let's remember this. So it can, you cancel your opponent's attack, their economy ability. You put the third ghost counter on. You sacrifice it. Then you marshal it again, and you can cancel something else. It's really stupid.
I mean, it's the best card in the pack. Like, I don't think I'm even. It was too custom first edition, you know.
Yeah.
I went and found it. Apparently, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Because a lot of, like, that's the same kind of cost slot space
Yep.
between the two. Yeah, it is extremely strong. So you say it's S tier? Own and control, like it's the fixed version, right?
Yeah.
It
Veil
did it have
refugees
a
and
limit?
one.
Since you have the second edition or the first edition card in front of you, did it have a limit?
No. No.
Right. Okay. So
Um.
this is another one of those cards I said that they have tried to balance. So it has the errata and it has the limit. Excuse me.
Doesn't matter. Best card in the pack.
So where do
Whatever
you
you
think
want.
this goes? Just everywhere again?
Three of in every single deck except maybe Shadows.
Late
Because you
Siege
should.
discards it for 1, unless you have a character that you can kill.
Yeah, as long as you have a character, at least use does nothing, or
So
you've used it already, I guess.
does second edition have the amount of disposable characters that first edition had?
They just printed the one.
The 1. So you're saying that
But it's
without
not.
Veil
But it's not
Refugee?
about. Yeah,
So
but it's not about disposable characters, right? Like that's never been like that's nice for Harrenhal, but like I'll sack whatever for this, right? Like if you're about to Westeros bleeds me, I'm gonna sack something.
well, yes.
If you're gonna try and use a save, I'm gonna sack something. If you're gonna try and narrow escape, I'm gonna
Not sack,
sack something.
kill.
Kill, whatever.
Well, no, it's not
Get rid.
whatever, because in second edition, more unique characters are played.
Sure,
Multiples
sure.
of more unique characters are played. So more expensive characters are played.
I'm
Like
100% okay with that. And
I'm not saying this is a bad card. I'm just trying to, like, think through and talk
so
through the differences
so
of the play patterns.
it's got a different play pattern, but like what it does is turn off whatever the most important thing your opponent's going to do is.
That's fair. So you have to have multiple good things that you're doing, right? I mean,
Right.
that was the best way to beat this card in first edition, right? Was to just have multiple good things to do, right?
I mean, so the thing is, it didn't really get beat in first edition. That's why it got restricted, right? Like
Yeah, I mean,
you could win a game, but like it would win worlds.
it was restricted before Worlds, if I remember right.
I don't think so. I thought it was in the wings. Is LS? I
It
don't
might
know
have
what
been the
LS is.
restricted card though for that deck. I thought it got restricted. Maybe it didn't.
It's hard to remember.
It is super hard to remember.
Yeah. Maybe someone in the chat remembers.
Uh, for some reason I thought it was before Worlds. Because I never
So
played first edition competitively after
I mean,
Worlds.
you
So
can get rid of a Craster. You can do something cheap to get rid of an Amon. You can get rid of the Drogon trigger that's going
I
to
mean,
cause you
you
the game.
can
You
kill
can
the
get rid of
character and narrow escape
the
it
wall
back.
trigger. Yeah, like there's just a million and one things you can do with this.
Oh yeah, it's very
It's
flexible.
I think it's the best card in the pack, the singular best card in the pack.
You have convinced me. I will bump it up to S tier. But some people, again, going back to the AGOT first edition or the AGOT boards, or not boards, I guess Facebook group, would say that the next card. Oh, the art's amazing, by the way. Oh, hold on. Also, on a game design level, this card is thematically really well designed. Right? Arya got 3 wishes at Harrenhal. It required death.
It's very thematic. I just think it's terrible for the
Oh,
game.
I agree.
Like it's the single card that I am saddest to see back.
Uh, it's again, I think also it's in here as an attempt to try to keep the stuff that's they printed in check.
Yeah,
Uh, but
sure.
I mean, anyway.
It's the most anti-control card in the world, right?
Yes, it certainly was that in first edition.
First edition, yeah.
So terminal House Aaron attachment, Sky Self, non-unique, 2 cost, forced interrupt. When attached character's controller would draw 1 or more cards, kneel attached character. Then that player draws 1 less card instead. Attached character gains action. Kill this character, cannot be saved. Now this is easily up there with You Murdered Her Children, higher than Harrenhal, as most unpleasant card to play against and most
I
like
mean,
hated card.
what it reads is attach it to a character, action, kill that character.
Yes, this card did not make a splash, right? It was super. I remember listening to you and Kyle and Will review this pack
Mm.
that it came out in, and you all thought it was going to be busted in first edition. It was not.
Things just didn't stay around long enough in first edition for it to matter.
I
They do in
agree.
second edition. Like this.
Thank goodness this is terminal, by the way. Um, I think it's good. I think it's an A. But I don't think it's quite as busted. I mean, how may I put this? I I actually like the play pattern this encourages.
I mean,
Because I don't, as everyone knows, I don't really like the kinds of decks that this is a good answer to.
it destroys mace decks.
No, it doesn't. You just draw 1 less card.
You can't do that.
When attached character's controller draws
Yes,
one.
I mean you can
If you
do that,
have
but
Mace,
you
you
still
can.
need characters to play.
Well,
It's
no,
not
I
going to work.
agree, but like
I mean, you
I
would
mean,
have to like
there,
blink a mace to get rid of it.
well, you can't blink Mace, but there's 10. How am I
Sure,
put
you
this?
can. You can blink mace. Mace can blink mace. You just lose the
Mace
power.
can't blink Mace. Glazer, you're still in your head about playtesting. In playtesting, Mace could blink Mace, but he can't. It's another character.
Is it? Oh,
Yes.
been a long time. Okay.
I'm sorry. I spilled some tea about playtesting. um,
Yeah.
but anyway, I understand that. I feel that some way about cards sometimes myself. I forget what version of cards are legal or not. Anyway, there's tension there though, right? So you have Mace. Maybe killing Mace there doesn't make sense. Like you don't
Yeah,
have
maybe
like you've already
you're
used your
gonna
close call, so you're trading Mace staying in play for 1 card, right? Like I think
sure.
that there's tension here, right? There's decisions to be made. Like they could be the wrong decision. It could be Roy's a bad player. Roy chooses to keep Mace around rather than kill him, and he loses the game because he drew 1 less card. But I took an action and I made a decision. It could be the wrong decision, but is it a decision that I made rationally? That's interesting gameplay as an answer to those kind of things. Same with Euron, right? I put this on my opponent's Euron. Now they have to make the decision. Is it important enough to keep Euron around?
Why would they keep Euron around?
I don't think they would, but then I kill him. And then that's fine. They move on. Like I
So
think,
that's what it says. It says kill
but
Euron
not. But I.
because Euron.
It
Well, because it's kneel, right? Like it's that it kneels it. That
yes.
means that like you're just gonna kill it. Like if it were just like draw 1 less card to keep it
Well,
standing, I
but
could
like
see.
characters like Fat Cat, characters like Mace, you can win the game with those cards in play, with them being knelt.
It's very dangerous.
It's
Maybe.
dangerous.
Yeah,
It's dangerous. Heck.
you'd have to be later in the game.
I agree.
I think this is going to be a problem with cohort.
Right, that you can just flip into it.
That you can just flip into it whenever you want. Yeah,
Yes. No, I agree. But I think that this would.
and
I
it's
mean,
cheap.
I think it's good in Valerian Steel, but I definitely think that this is a fine answer card. It's not that cheap. It's still a 2-cost attachment. Like, I mean, 2-cost attachments are fine, but they're not like ideal.
Yeah, they're fine. I
They're,
think
no
this
one's like
is.
screaming, "Oh my god, I want that 2-cost attachment."
I think this is A plus. I don't think it's S. I think it's A plus.
I think it's like A minus, B plus.
It depends how much. Honestly, how much Danny is in the meta. Danny really hates this card.
That's fine.
Actually, does Danny really hate this card? Nah, Danny, I could just draw one less. She'll
Still fetch a
handle drawing
card.
the extra card for me. Well,
Yeah,
and she can kneel because I can just put all her attachments. Don't say put them on her. You just stick all her attachments on someone else. Let
that's
them
fair.
Voltron up and have fun.
That's fair.
Like by getting the attachments, you're drawing extra cards. Yeah, that's probably fine. I guess. Yeah, A.
Again, I think there's tension in the card. I'm not saying it's the greatest card ever made. I'm or play patterns.
Yeah.
So
And Stark is just like, all right, whatever. I guess this is what I'm using my Rob trigger on from now on.
that's fair. Unless it's on Rob.
Well, even then, it's like, oh man, I knelt Rob. Okay, I'm gonna Wyman something. Let's stand, everybody.
Yeah, there
Got
we
my
go.
card back. We're good. Next.
That's fair. The art is pretty good.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, that brings us to Heads on Pikes,
It's
which is
terrible art.
terrible, terrible art. 2-cost, neutral event, prize to dominance action. For each character in his or her dead pile, each opponent discards the top 2 cards of his or her deck. Max 1 per round.
I mean, James says it's busted, so it's probably busted, but I don't know. I'm just gonna say E because you have to
I
build
mean,
for it.
it's 2 cards. So
Oh,
how many characters would you say by turn 3 or 4 most opponents have in their dead pile?
I mean, I'm assuming you're valoring then using this, so I'm gonna say 4.
4, so that means you get 8 cards.
Yeah. Look, I don't get the math either. James says it's busted. I'm literally just believing
I mean,
James.
is it busted? I mean, I can imagine there's a part of me that feels like that max 1 per round wasn't always there. Um, at
I
max
don't
1 per
remember.
round,
To be perfectly honest.
at max 1 per round, I don't know. Like the prize 2 I don't think matters. Cuz like any deck that's running heads on pikes is doesn't care about what your opponent's power total is. Unless literally they're at 13 power and you have to play this card to win,
Yeah.
they I actually don't even know how that works.
You could be getting that in Neil deck.
So instead of say you're at 13 power, right? And this would cause me to win the game. What happens?
You would win the game because the discard happens before it goes into your discard pile, right? Like you don't play an event immediately. It doesn't immediately leave play, right? It has to
This is
resolve.
where they're like our events moribund.
Right. Yeah, but they are. They're functionally more.
Yeah. Fair. But in cards though, you resolve it in order of the text, right? So you would
Yeah.
nominally resolve prize 2, which means you gain 2 power,
If
Aaron.
prize triggers when it leaves play,
Oh, fair.
or it leaves the play area because events I guess technically aren't in play or out of play, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
But like it leaves the whatever active area, so it would resolve before it really.
Resolves. But under Magic, you would win.
Well, this
I'm just saying, like
yes,
that's the way it works.
but this isn't magic.
I know. I'm just saying. Uh,
Wish it was. Yeah, I'm going E. It's probably really good, and I don't have the ability to see this kind
I'm
of
more
thing.
trying to see. I mean, maybe in some like cult style mill shell, this is busted.
Yeah, that's where it's supposed to be busted.
Yeah. So,
I don't know how
but
that kills things exactly besides valor, but whatever.
maybe they're figuring it out. Excuse me. All right. So that brings us to we narrowly escaped talking about that ugly art. Oh, what did we say that we didn't rate the card?
I gave it an E.
An E. All right.
It's,
I'll agree with
it's a
that.
Wama it's a Wama card, so I gave it the
Oh,
Wama
you know
rating.
what? Then how can I disagree with that? It is definitely getting the James Wamsley Memorial E rating. All right, that brings us to Narrow Escape, which is a 0 cost neutral event. Put each character that was killed or discarded from play this phase into play from its owner's dead or discard pile. An opponent may discard his or her hand of at least one card to cancel these effects. Max 1 per phase.
So we know this. We've got this card already, right? Or like partially have this card.
I mean, in the form of a 5-drop immune to Omen's
Character.
Body. But it does
Who's
that
really,
doesn't
really
hit
good.
discarded cards, if I remember right.
That's true. That's true. It doesn't.
But I
This
mean,
is
that's a little
pro-
less. That's a little less relevant in first edition or second edition than it was in first.
yeah.
Because in
This is
first, burn was
well.
discard in first.
Westeros Bleeds is sitting here now.
Yes, which we'll
Uh,
get to.
this is probably an S.
I mean, this was the ultimate rush card, right? Well, that's not true. The ultimate
Uh,
rush card is one of the plots that's in here.
this card
That
got
has really
this
ugly
card got
art.
this card got restricted. I mean, for a lot of reasons, right? Like Meisters and all sorts of nonsense. But it really got restricted because the Viper's Bannerman. You would play it, draw 2, kill Viper's Bannerman, draw 2, narrow escape, draw 2, and then you still have Viper's Bannerman to draw 2 again when they die.
Yes.
So it was like, no, and that got around the draw cap. So it was just this absurd card advantage engine. And it worked in like everything, right? But that was the specific interaction that was just completely absurd. It's gonna be busted. Like it's hard to imagine this not being busted.
I mean, it's good in Dark Wings.
It's good in Dark Wings. It's good. Well, yeah, but I don't think like that's not where you want it. You want it 3 of in like regular big dude decks.
It's good in Greyjoy.
It's great in Greyjoy. It's probably really good in like a Lannister Valerian Steel.
It's good in Stark.
I would assume it goes in Night's Valerian Steel. It goes in Stark. It goes in any big head deck. If you're running a bunch of big dudes, you just stick it in. Like there's
Well,
no
but also
downside.
like Stark has a bunch of sacrifice, right? So like you can sacrifice your whole board and then
Mm-hmm.
narrow escape, and then you have the advantage of like particularly with Wyman, right? You sacrifice
Yeah.
your whole board, you draw 3 cards, you go
Yeah.
narrow escape,
Yeah.
and then your opponent goes, well, either they get that board back, or I discard my hand.
Yep. And
And
you can
that's
do
a
that with Fat Cat on the board too.
Yep.
You can do that with Jesus Christ. You can do that after you've played Return to the
it's
Field.
super sweet with Skagos, right? Like Skagos and Minstrel.
Return is the way you want to use it.
Oh, so Return's good too,
They
but
they valor, you return, right?
and then they have to
Like
choose
it doesn't
between
matter. Well, it doesn't matter, right? Like
right.
you're getting all those cards and all that gold, and then you can just be like, all right, now eat me.
Also, like I just think it's really funny with Skagos and like Minstrel. So you
I really
go
hope
like
it's restricted.
play Minstrel, power, sack it with Skagos, power, narrow escape, get that back. So you got 3 power. Yeah, or they discard their hand, then you're like, sweet, I still
Yeah.
got 2 power.
And if they have an empty hand, they can't do shit.
They can't do shit. Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's S. It's real
very
good.
powerful. Yes, I love this art actually since the first time I ever saw it. I don't know what it's actually representing. I think it's supposed to be Arya.
I think that's Arya narrowly escaping something.
Yeah, but
Oh.
I've never quite understood the art, but it is a excellent card. All right, Seductive Promise, which is a 1-cost neutral event. Reaction. After you win a power challenge by 5 or more strength, choose a non-unique character controlled by the losing opponent. Take control of that character. Max 1 per challenge.
I don't think this sees play.
You don't? Or you do?
No, I don't.
I mean, like,
I mean, in Dark Wings, sure, it'll be a 1-of.
in Dark Wings, it's a 1-of, maybe in some crossing? Barrow?
No,
Barrow?
no, no. It's just you're too likely to whiff. It only takes non-uniques.
The only thing's not unique, and most of the power these days, outside of maybe Night's Watch. But
And
even
it's win
as
back.
you listed earlier, though, Night's Watch has a ton of powerful, unique characters, right?
Yeah, Night's Watch, I think, has one really powerful non-unique that I can think of.
Ranging
Like,
Party.
Raging Party. What else are you taking? My Builder at the Wall? I mean, like...
No, I guess
Seasoned
the
Woodman.
2-drop, Seasoned Woodman, but also the other 2-drop,
Shadow Tower Mason?
Shadow Tower Mason. But that's turned off, right, as soon as you steal it. So I
Yeah.
guess it's one of those things where, all right, I paid a gold to take your cool character, but it doesn't
Make
do
you
anything for
not
me.
have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, Does Targ run non-uniques? Really? Not really, right?
Oh no, Tark has a ton, particularly Dothraki has a ton of
Dothraki
non-uniques.
does, but like your Valerian Steel doesn't, and your
That's fair.
Burn isn't really keeping non-uniques on the board. I don't know. I just feel like it's too likely to be dead. I don't think I'm playing it. I think it's a C minus.
Yeah, I think it's like a C. I think it might see some play, but the art, I've loved this art since the first time I saw it. So, um, all right, the card really we should have started with even more than the agendas. This
My
is
favorite card of the game.
favorite card in the game. It has a whole song. I
Can I
wish.
just say thank you, Danny, for giving me 2 champ cards? I really appreciate that.
Well, this
Like I
one
didn't
you
have
had
to win.
no hand in the design of, so
It
uh,
does. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never designed a thing. But Westeros Bleeds. No one needed to design. It was built perfect. Like Jesus blessed a card, and then we got Westeros Bleeds.
yeah, I wish this had been a standard card. I mean, a card that it came out in like a pack
It
that
it
could have
sh- it,
impacted the
it
meta.
should have been in the core set. It should have been in the core set instead of Varys.
I like Varys. I actually think it was smart to print Varys in the core
I think
set
Varys is
rather than this.
fine. I would rather have this.
I think this should have been in a cycle, like a cycle 1 or cycle 2 or cycle 3.
I think it's
It probably would
important
have been
for the game.
5 gold then, but
I mean, more like 6, but even then,
yeah,
like it's important for the game to have this release valve.
yeah. No, I agree.
Big guys are too sticky.
Oh,
Plots
but
are
I haven't even said
plots
what it
are
does,
too
by the
easy
way.
to get
So
rid
it
of.
is a
Oh,
4 gold neutral event. Westeros bleeds. Dominance action. Discard each character from play. And I think, if I remember right, let me zoom in here. The flavor text is worth reading. When the old king was still alive, he'd not have stood for this.
damn right.
So that's some good flavor text there. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's the only card in the pack that has flavor text. Oh no,
Mm,
heads on a few do. Heads on pikes has flavor
High
text.
Ground has it.
Yeah,
King's
lots of
Landing
them do.
has it.
I didn't even notice. I'm so used to looking at.
Heads on Pikes, Vale Refugee, Wheels Within Wheels, Spider's Web, Davos has
Okay.
flavor text.
Either way, Westeros Leads is my favorite card in the game. Um, it's an S. It's amazing. If they didn't also print Harrenhal and Littlefinger, it would immediately bring control back in the game, and it still might. I think it goes in every Target burn deck.
Westeros does.
Yeah,
Does that make Tog Burn more control?
yeah. I think Target burn runs out of whatchamacallit right now. Out of why can't I think of it? Out of Dragon Pit, HRD Dragon Pit.
Okay, but Dragon Pit. This was never run in Pit back in the day.
No,
Like
because it took influence.
that's fair. That's
So
fair.
like your Dragon Pit decks weren't running influence, so they couldn't.
Okay.
Dragon Pit also didn't really run Hatchling's Feast because it took influence. Actually, they all ran it when Red Keep was available, right? But like that
Well,
was restricted.
right
That was,
With Hatchling's
right,
fees, so
right, right.
you couldn't run them
So
together.
that was the end of that. But until then, it ran all that shit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but Westeros bleeds right. I mean, it does lead to the play pattern that that I think specifically Danny wanted to avoid in the core set, right? Which was you have some dupes and some characters, you're feeling good about yourself, go to dominance action. Westeros bleeds you into Valor, right? Like, which is
Right,
like the classic
but if you
control.
Westeros bleeds, then you Westeros bleeds into 461 return,
Yeah.
right? Like they're gonna return. So like you can't Valor, then now you have a give and take about like when you do what, which I appreciate.
No,
Yeah,
I mean, I think the game at this point is in a place where Westeros bleeds should be standard legal. I wish it was legal at Worlds. I think it's a very fair card.
if it were legal at Worlds, if this pack were legal at Worlds, I would be playing it. I would be playing Tarkburn.
Interesting. Not
Like
Martell.
the 7-1 Stalic Burn of the East is at the gates, Blood of the Dragon, Exchange, March, double trade routes, and Valor. And it's just like, yeah, that seems like it would be good with Westeros Bleeds.
I mean, it would be, yeah.
Like it's just you add Westeros Bleeds and you add this, and then you cut like I don't know Shadow of the East, which is it's Shadow card.
Right. I mean, like
You cut Music of Dragons and some other crap.
we had this effect for 2 gold and 2 cards before, and
Mm-hmm.
as friend of the show Nate Tarantelli learned at Red Saturday 2017. That's a very disruptible combo.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when he was knocked out of the cut when Matt pulled his Varys out of his hand. This is One card, still disruptible. Intrigue Claim could still get this, but very very powerful. And I agree. I think this is an S tier card.
My
And
single, my favorite card in the pack, my favorite card in the game,
and
my my second champ
it
card.
has good
I've
art.
been I've been great art. I've literally been begging for this card for since the core set.
It's a corset.
Like
That's why you loved
nothing,
Varys so much back in the day.
nothing has like
I
I
mean,
just stick Paris Index because I could.
this
Right,
card
like
was extremely popular in first edition. I mean, it led to a whole Christmas song sung by Banter. Let It Bleeds. I don't even remember the lyrics. We should have had it queued up.
I have
Uh,
it saved somewhere.
Let It Bleeds. Let It Bleeds. Uh,
It's
it's a great song, and I will always look fondly upon this card, and I am glad to see it back.
it beat Stroms on my way to my first regional. I was running a bunch of extra influence and a bunch of extra draw in my Targ Long Voyage, which I was only playing because at my first tournament, I lost to Stroms twice and Dennis once and beat everyone else. And they told me Targ Long Voyage wouldn't work, and I was like, that's not true. So I just ran all that draw and like Ed Westeros bleeds and like Stroms was rolling me and like he was like all cocky about it and I was like bleeds bye have a nice day
Ah,
just
yeah.
destroy and I just
He
destroyed
must
him
have
and
been
like
very angry at you, if I remember Dave very well.
he didn't know me at that point. It was like the second time we met and he was just like he looked at me like I grew a second head when I was like all right well Westeros bleeds
It's
and
true.
then he was like and his jaw just dropped. It was like because people didn't play it at that point, right? Like it
Yeah.
was really good.
That's like the time that I canceled Dave's city plot with the bird on the first turn, and he looked at me, and we were friends at that point. He looked at me like, "Wow, you just won first turn," and
Yeah,
he's like, "You beat me, Roy. You finally beat me at a tournament game." I was like, "Yeah, Dave, I did." Uh,
I'm 95% sure I haven't actually gone through and done the math in a couple years that we ended first edition exactly 500 with each other in like 30 goddamn games.
that
We
wouldn't
played
surprise
it
me.
every tournament and we were exactly 500 and it was like an eternal frustration. He
Well,
was usually better. In fairness, he was usually better in the cut because by the cut I was usually tired and a little drunk.
that's fair. Uh, so we've already talked about the agendas. So that brings us to Benjen's Cache, which is a 2 gold, 0 initiative, 1 claim, 5 reserve plot deck limit 1 neutral plot. When revealed, if there are no kingdom plots in your use pile, search your deck for a card and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck.
I mean, so this has to be an early. I don't think this is actually good.
I mean, it has to be very early, right? Because a bunch of really useful plots are kingdom plots, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's what you're using it for. I would assume is getting Westeros Bleeds.
Yes.
Is
Right.
whatchamacallit a kingdom? What's the opener that everyone play on Earth plays right now?
At the gates,
The
I believe it
gates.
is.
It's a kingdom, yeah.
Yeah.
So like you can't at the gates to get the +2 gold to play with. I don't think this is good.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean,
I mean, what the current so the
the
current
101 is
standard
better,
playable is 101. That's a 5-2, right?
but it's a 6.
6. Okay.
I know that because I literally just played it last game, in
Um.
which the game I played earlier that I had to concede.
Right. To do this. So for one more gold and any other card,
Mm-hmm.
so any card type, you can't play kingdom plots,
Yes.
basically, right? Or
Mhm.
you can't play early game kingdom plots. But I'm pretty sure every single econ plot in the game has the kingdom trait.
Well, not late summer feast
Late Summer
or
Feast
not,
has kingdom
no,
plot.
no, sorry, not time of plenty.
Right, except for Time of Plenty. So you have to play that.
Or
There has
the
to be a time for
531.
that plot for you to
Yeah,
play it.
yeah, yeah.
So
So I get it, right? Like I just don't think this is good. You'd have to like open it, and I don't think there's anything you really want to go get turn one.
well, I mean,
I
in
mean,
some of those
sure
decks,
there
like
is
Wama was
all that.
always a big defender of the open 101, which like always made me
I
feel like
mean,
I don't know.
yeah. I
Uh,
think. I think 101 is a fine turn two play once it's a 3 or 4 gold plot. Like assuming you set up an econ, now it's a 2 gold. Then you go get Gates of the Moon, now it's a 4 gold. And then if you play one more econ, now it's a 5 gold. Now 501, go get a character put into play is really nice.
Yes. Well, this is if you set up an econ card, it is a 4 gold to 3 to 4 gold. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like I don't think like I don't think that works as an
it's
opener,
a
but
C. It's a C.
C
I don't
makes
think
sense to me. All right. So that brings us to rioting. Oh, what about the art here? I don't like the art. Uh, like John looks like a
no,
zombie.
that is probably true.
Well, but before
Uh,
this is all
Abel
obviously
says in wait, wait,
he's
wait.
not a zombie
Vengeance
yet
Cash.
in the book,
Wait, wait,
so
wait, 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 wait. Vengeance Cash with Knights of the Hollow Hill is really nice.
hmm, you are correct.
Also, yeah, that is very nice because that is a really, really nice time to Westeros Bleeds. Turn one.
That is the deck for Westeros Bleeds. So
Yeah. So and then you have enough gold and everything else.
I
Yeah,
mean, at
it's a
that
good.
point you're feeling the full 1.0
It's a.
nostalgia,
It's
right?
a. Yeah, it's a very good turn one card
Because that's what
for
4 gold,
5.
5. Oh, because yeah, it's 3, 2, 1, right? So three
Yeah,
gold, 6 in
5.
it. Yeah,
It's not bad.
yeah,
Although then you're definitely chucking a couple cards, or almost certainly chucking a couple cards.
maybe. I mean, it depends.
I mean, you don't want to play things into your own
But you can
Westeros
play
Bleed.
locations, like you can play.
That's true. But they don't usually run a lot. It's doable. Again, I still don't think I'm really likely to do it, but it's possible.
So that brings us to rioting, which is a 3/0/1 plot deck limit 1 5 reserve kingdom plot. Force reaction. After the standing phase begins, discard each kneeling character from play. Cannot be saved.
It's
Terrible
probably
art, by
good,
the way.
right?
Terrible art.
Absolutely terrible art. I don't know what it's even happening. But like,
It's when Joffrey escaped from the King's Landing riot,
oh, that is
because that's
really
supposed to
bad.
be the Hound. Like,
That's the very tiny hound. He's smaller than Joffrey. I think this is probably good.
yeah.
Like if you
Uh,
play this like turn 3, can they attack?
Well, was this what Valor Harris was in first edition?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it might have been a different phase, but yes.
I mean, it's good in
Um,
Barra, right?
I
Like,
mean,
you play Solis, you play this, then you play Solis.
yeah, if you can. I mean,
It's not hard. Like, that's not
that's
super hard.
reasonable. I mean,
That's
it's
pretty
reasonably
reasonable.
doable. Yeah.
I mean, even you
Yeah.
play Solis and you
I mean, you
play.
play Benjamin's Barrack Hollow Hill. Benjamin's Cash, get Solis. Next turn, play this, play Solis.
That's very fair.
I don't know if it's good, but it's doable. It has to be Hollow Hill because at that point you need the econ, right?
Oh yeah.
Because Solis will take literally all of your gold.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Next.
that's classically what Solis does. But maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's a bit, or it could be a Barra, Aloof, and a part deck. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, Aloof and Apart makes things work too.
but
Because then you can Benjamin's Cash, and then yeah, that leaves you 1 gold trope, and I'm assuming you find an econ. Yeah, no, it seems reasonable.
but I mean, Barra has a lot of other Neil at this point, right? That could be very helpful for that.
Right.
Um, I don't know how to rate this card though.
I'm gonna say B minus. That's a
Yeah,
card using combo. I'm good. Benjamin's Cash C plus this B minus. I like that combo.
I mean, also like it discourage right. It's also a stall card, right?
Hmm.
Because it discourages your opponent from doing any challenges.
Yeah,
Um, Particularly that cannot be saved. That's super interesting to me.
yeah, that's very good.
Um,
Which means if you can get the right thing melt, you can really screw things up.
yeah, like it's a good card with Control Bob.
Hmm.
Oh. Yeah, I think this is a B card, actually. I'll go and say it's a B. Like, I think you really do have to make the effort to make it pay off.
It's a Baron card, right?
Yeah, it's definitely Barrow. Is there anybody else it could be? I mean, it's Barrow and Stall. I do think that there are some Stall decks. Like, I feel like a Builder's deck might not dislike this.
I don't know if they could fit it. Maybe if builders could still run wars.
if builders can still run wars, but like something other stalling that's like I want a plot that discourages my opponent from doing anything.
Yeah, I get it.
Uh, like that, because like think about this like against some Greyjoy decks, right? That need to kneel those key characters and they get discarded and can't be saved.
Hmm.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Also not bad in Night's Watch where you can stand a bunch of your stuff, maybe in Dom.
Yeah. So anyway, I think this is a B card. I think you do have to. There's significant deck building cost to building around it, but I think if you can square that circle, it's extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Uh, well, this card, which is the best Cersei art in the plot,
Ever.
uh,
Ever.
I don't know if it's ever, but it's definitely
It's iconic.
it is definitely iconic, and it's definitely the best Cersei art in the pack. But of course, which is a low hanging fruit, is a 5/4/1 edict plot deck limit 1 5 reserve rule by decree. When revealed, each player with the most cards in hand chooses and discards from his or her hand until he or she has 4 cards in hand. Oh my god, I can't singular plural they here would make this card so much easier to read. But what do you think, Glazer?
Um, I don't know if it's good in second edition without tricks,
Like Wheels Within Wheels?
like wheels within wheels. So I think it's probably still busted with wheels within wheels, and I'm not sure if it's otherwise good.
I mean, it.
Like with reserve, is discarding down to 4 usually that big of a deal?
I mean, if you can catch them turn 1, but
Sure.
there's
How?
no outside of Wheels.
I mean,
It's not a
is
scheme,
there a way
right?
to?
It's not a
Yeah.
scheme.
Hmm.
So besides Wheels, is there any other way to catch an opponent with it?
Not that I can think of. I
I
mean,
mean,
you could.
it's
Is
definitely
there
good
that?
against
Wait,
like some of the Night's Watch decks
you can
that
wait. I mean,
have high
so like
reserve
you
and
can
heavily
flip
land
into it
cards.
turn 1 as a surprise, but like there's no almost unless they're opening it with a way to get an extra cards, it doesn't help.
Yeah. I mean, it beats counting coppers, so you can do things like I go first, trigger your counting coppers, rule by decree you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, now that reserve exists, it's a lot weaker, right?
Right.
Um,
Exactly, because like it's usually getting rid of. It's like,
two
oh
cards,
man, I made your reserve 4.
yeah, which can suck, but
But like we were going like in just in first edition, I'd often have cards of like hands of like 12 cards, and it was a nightmare.
yes,
And draw was harder to come back. I don't know. I think it's a C.
that seems about fair. But I do think that wheels can break it, right?
Yes, of
Because
course.
wheels immediately breaks it, right?
Well,
So
if
you
you have
you
to
do it in the draw phase on the first turn
you have
if
to
you can.
figure out how to get gold on the first turn.
But as you were saying in the pre-show, Glazer, that's not that hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that easy for 3. 3 is a lot.
But you can even do it in the marshalling phase, right? If you're going first.
Yes, that is the trick. Yeah. So like you could play. You don't really want to open 401 into this, right? Because that doesn't give you any initiative control, and you need to be going first.
But you can open a. I mean, you don't have to open like if you have a decent setup, you don't have to open in much, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You could also open 901, right? Because that gets you out of that.
Yeah.
Or 1031, and then you have all that gold to play like 2 things. Have fun. Now your hand is empty.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, doable. Yeah,
Doable,
C
but I mean,
plus.
I think it's a wheels card. Like it requires
Yeah.
wheels to be really fantastic. Otherwise, it's sort of like a hand disruption-y card. You know. I mean,
Yeah.
but this card was one of the bugbears of first edition.
Right.
So like,
Um,
if you look at what's that card? The winter plot from the
I I I never cared about it the normal way. The much and more into rule by decree was annoying, but not the end of the world. It was the wheels way after draw phase that would just destroy everything.
right. Because even if you have equal cards, once you play wheels, you're at 6 cards or
Right.
8 cards, and they're at 9 cards, right?
Right.
Um, so losing 5 cards is a lot there.
Hmm.
Yeah. So That brings us to Search and Detain, which is a 6 reserve 5/5/1 edict plot. When revealed, plot deck limit 1 as well. When revealed, choose a card without attachments controlled by the first player. Return it to its owner's hand. Cannot be saved.
This is awesome and belongs in an awful lot of decks. Like literally, like
I mean,
just
it's just a straight up better of that Frey card that was popularized by Targ 321, right?
yeah. Well, not only that, like right, like it's insane in Knights of the Hollow Hill, where it's a 5/7 one,
No,
but or sorry,
it's an
8/7, 8/7 one.
8/7/1/7.
Yeah. The timing is slightly worse, right? Like, because it returns it to hand when revealed.
Right, but I mean, you could disrupt your. I mean, if your opponent's setup is like, 7-1-0,
You make them have to play it again.
right? Yeah, which is a huge tempo hit.
Hmm. It's fantastic. It's
And
not
then you have
necessarily
7 gold or 8 gold, excuse me, which
eight
is
gold.
like
Yeah,
good a good opening
yeah.
plot
No,
scoring,
no,
right?
it's fantastic. It's yeah. I mean, I don't think that's even necessarily just the only place it's good. I think you just run it in a lot of decks as a way to answer things because it cannot be saved. So as long as you can time this decently, you can get anything off the board and just clear dupes.
It also can sometimes be a weird answer to resets, which is one of the cooler things.
I
Like,
just wish it had six inish.
what you wanted to beat
I want it to tie return.
tie return. Fair. I don't know. I think this is an A card. I think it's actually one of the fairer cards that was actually printed here.
I think it's an A. This is one of the cards that should have been here a long time ago.
Yep. All right. That brings us to the card I've been talking about. Oh, the art's good, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
This is the card I've been talking about for a while of easily the worst Cersei art ever. Like, I've thought this card is just so unbelievably ugly since the first time I saw it, and it's supposed to not be ugly because the card's name is The Art of Seduction. It is.
I am seduced
You are seduced. Okay, well I guess I'm wrong. It is a three two
by the
one.
quality of that card.
It is a 3/2/1 noble traded 6 reserve plot deck limit 1 plot. When revealed, choose an opponent. That opponent cannot reveal a new plot card during the next plot phase. That means a classic rush plot, right?
I mean, it's great in like aggro too. You just try and catch their reset.
Yes. Well, it's not even catch their reset. Well, you catch the reset. It's protect. I mean, what it does, right, is it's win-win, right? Either way,
Hmm. Yeah,
because so say
if you
turn
catch their reset or they can't reset.
or they can't reset, right? So it basically gives you a turn off of not having to worry about them doing anything.
Yeah, they
Um,
don't. They don't get the when revealed again.
they don't get the win revealed again. They're stuck with whatever that reserve was. This is extremely powerful. I think it's an A plus card, borderline S card.
It's very, very, very good for right before you valor too. Like I want a valor, and I don't want you to be able to do any shenanigan bullshit.
You mean
So
you don't want them to return to the field to you?
yeah, so you're just or if they return, it's like all right, cool. So you can sit with that return that you can't trigger. Boom,
Yep.
valor. Very, 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 very good for even especially for Hollow Hill, but really for anything.
Yep. All right. So yeah,
I think
what's your
I
rating?
think it's A plus.
A plus?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That seems about right to me. That brings us to the last card, the Gathering Storm. 6/8/2 Omen Summer. Plot deck limit 1, 6 reserve. When revealed, each opponent may return his or her revealed plot card to his or her plot deck and reveal a new plot card.
So let's take some free fall.
You think it's a free folk?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
open this into the other 5/8/2 into the other 5/8/2.
Well, this is 6/8/2, so it's even better than 5/8/2.
You see, no, you go 6/8/2, 5/8/2, 5/8/2.
Well, wait. So what's the other 5/8/2? Oh,
So,
it's when you die, right?
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. It is very good as an opener in that way. Yeah. I think
Huh?
it has some shenanigans available for collusion and melee. So,
Yeah, you can explain that since I don't care.
but yeah, I think you're probably right. As an opener, it's summon, it's omen. I don't quite. I mean, I think it's omen for thematic
It's really
reasons.
it's really good opening Sea of Blood decks too.
Yeah.
Like it's just, do you want a Valor turn one? Like whatever you're opening with for a reason, right? Like there's not a hard counter to this as an opener. It's giving you 6/8 too.
Right, and it creates those kind of like weird incentives, right, when you're opening with it, where like most of the time the plot you're opening with is, particularly if it goes, all right, I go first, I trigger
Mm-hmm.
my plot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you want to get rid of your econ plot for something utility wise?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, then I win. Don't get rid of your plot? Okay, then I have a 682 blank.
Right. Who cares? Yeah. Like you're opening for the stats, and
Yeah.
then it's not doing anything to help your opponent, and it's
Yeah.
just real good for
I
like
mean, I guess
aggro
it
and
gets a
Sea of
little
Blood.
bad when you have to recycle into plots, but hopefully,
That's it. Because like, are you really recycling 14 plots?
yeah, it's fair. So, yeah, powerful. A or B
Yeah.
plus?
Eh.
All right.
No. Technically B plus, right?
Yeah,
Because it's
because it
not
only
heavily
really
back.
goes in free folk, right? Or something
Uh,
that
Sea of Blood decks,
Sea
right? Sea
Blood.
of Blood decks is running.
I mean, but a lot of Sea Blood
Like,
decks are still running like.
well, our Targ Sea of Blood at War was running 5/8 2 to open like 90% of the time. This just replaces that because you don't have to worry about the tribal nature.
That's fair. That opens up what you're.
You get the extra gold, and now it's just like, all right, cool. What are you gonna do? You could flip to first snow and not have gold. Like, have fun.
That's fair, and I have 6 gold. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what
I
you're
well, and
flipping.
now Targ has way more tools to play around Sea of Blood, right?
Right. Like, what do I care about turn one that you can do that you can flip into with this?
Cool. All right, so this is a good B plus here. All
Yeah.
right, so as we wind this down, we've been doing this for about 3 hours now, Aaron. Um,
Jesus.
what cards do you think should be immediately restricted? This was asked uh, by our faithful viewers.
Okay.
Or
Wheels.
wheels should just be banned. But yeah,
Wheels. Harren Hall. Narrow Escape.
pikes
Sure, assuming Wama's right. Gathering Storms. Art of Seduction.
seems reasonable. Uh, I agree with that. I will add aloof, probably.
I think Aloof should be restricted. Yeah, maybe. You'd
Keeping
want to
away from
separate it.
Great Hall.
Yeah, I can see that.
Uh, that's probably it. I mean, yeah, I think that's about it for immediate restriction. Uh, why don't we throw it to chat? Chat, what do you think is a card that should be immediately restricted? Uh,
Or any other questions,
or
and
any
then
other
we'll.
questions as Glazer and I wrap this up as we approach the end of our stream here.
Are we
Um,
sticking this on the Suns feed?
what did you say?
Are we sticking this on the Suns feed?
Yeah, it'll be on the Suns feed. Yeah. Uh, so Abel wants to know why narrow escape. It's neutral. Everyone benefits from it. I don't mind that one.
Um, it's just gonna bust. Like, especially with return. Like, it just makes the boards too sticky. It basically becomes impossible to get anything off the goddamn board. Sticky boards are an issue that a lot of this pack is trying to really solve. And like, you can still run it, right? Like, it's a perfectly viable restricted in lots of things. Whereas like Harrenhal's probably the restricted in like 80% of decks. The second it's restricted. I
Yeah.
also really don't like the interplay between Narrowscape and Harrenhal.
Yeah,
Like
that's
you
pretty
stack
annoying.
whatever you want, and then you just go get it back.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything that has that easy recursion and easy abusability
Yeah.
is just really dangerous.
Yep.
Uh, it has the escape clause. Hey, of your opponent discarding their hand, but like, so think about this. So say your opponent has 5 cards in hand, you have 5 cards in hand. Your opponent does something that they say sacrifice, or even you valor them. So you have 5 cards in hand, but a few saves, and your opponent doesn't. You valor them. Um, they go, okay, narrow escape. They're down to 4 cards, but now you have to decide, like, do I chuck those 5 cards to get to stop them from doing that? Like, it's just a weird play pattern that is really just not fun. Like, I really just I don't think narrow escape is very fun. Um, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, and it creates weird incentives, and the fact that it is abusable is the other thing. So,
So abusable.
so abusable. It's also super abusable in melee.
Oh.
So able, his response is fair. Okay, the other ban cards are faction specific. This just feels like a fair answer to Westeros Bleeds. I feel like Westeros Bleeds, there's already enough like answers to it built into the game. I mean, the number one answer to Westeros Bleeds is saves.
I
Um,
mean, Littlefinger is gonna just own it, right?
Littlefinger as
Like
well.
everything should be running Littlefinger.
I agree, but
And Harrenhal.
and Harrenhal, but I also think that but Harrenhal of course would be restricted under your list. But I mean I think that Westeros Bleeds is saves. It's also discard. Like I think that for me, as frustrating as having your best character discarded is, I don't think it is as fatal or as frustrating or as bad play pattern as having those characters killed.
Yep.
Because you can just play it again if you top deck it, right? Like I'm playing a Danny deck that's like a Voltron Danny deck. Um, my I don't have a dupe for her. My opponent Westeros bleeds me. She's gone. Yeah, that's really annoying. That's frustrating. I'm set back. But if Danny's the next in the top 4 cards of my deck, like I'm gonna see her soon. I get to play her again, and I'm good.
Yep.
Um, like I prefer removal in Thrones to be discard based because of that. Like I think that then that's not saying that kill removal it doesn't have a place. It does, but I feel like one of the problems of second edition is that so much removal is uh, kill based, and there's nothing like to me more unfun than getting put to the sword because it means oh my important character I don't get to play them again this game unless I'm running close call or narrow escape or something like that. And so I'd much rather just have the kind of board wipe be available to control decks to be discard based. Um, so that's sort of my answer. It's like I don't think that there needs to be additional answers to Westeros Bleeds because I think that the card, as a control card, particularly where we are in the game right now, is fair. Like it's a fair card
Don't
and
have to
has
convince
good
me.
play patterns. I know I don't have to convince you, but I'm trying my best.
Yeah.
And there are sometimes frustrating things like getting bleeds, your dupes go away, and then getting valored is a frustrating play experience. But so is you know first turn Drogon. You can't interact with Drogon. They win. You get your stuff put to the sorted, and they get to murder somebody for 4. Right? That's 4 strength or lower. So I feel like this card is about as fair as many of the other interactions.
I mean, I mostly just want games to have more swings in them. I don't want to feel like games are over as often
No,
turn two.
yeah, and I do agree with you, James. Like I also like escape valves myself. Like it's one of the reasons why I like playing the kind of like mid-rangey decks that are on the reactive side, like Nice Watch mid-range, which tends to be more reactive uh, to what your opponent's doing and uses the wall as a win condition. So you can sort of just be like, past challenges, I've got this win condition here. I'm going to just respond to what you're doing. But I think that Westeros Bleeds in particular is fair because also it gets a little bit more telegraphed because they have to have 4 gold, or I guess not. I guess Martell can do it without 4 gold, right? Because it has water gardens.
Right.
But
And the guy that makes it reduces it by 2, Kendry.
that's all like kind of telegraphy. So it's like Kendra survived the entire challenges phase without kneeling. They didn't kneel.
Can you protect your hand from intrigue? Can you? I mean, you could always run Ghost of High Heart, right? Like that's a really solid answer.
Yeah, I think again, there's ways to interact with it, but I totally get your point. Like I also don't like getting caught off guard by that stuff, which is why I tend to play more and have had more success in Thrones playing like reactive E decks, um, sort of reactive E on the mid range side, not reactive E on the control side. Um, so
Huh.
other questions from chat? Uh, do you have a favorite card, Aaron?
Yeah, bleeds.
Bleeds, right? Mine would probably be Sam.
Really?
Yeah, I like Sam a lot. Uh, he's up there probably of like all the cards that go to my playstyle. He's probably up there. Let me scroll through again this real quick. Yeah, if it's not Sam, it's Dark Wings. I mean, like I have many fond memories of that card in first edition. I mean, it's one of the cards that got Matt Game and I to be very good friends. So we played some Dark Wings, Dark Words, Absurdist Mirrors. Because one of my favorite first edition fun decks to play was Martell Dark Wings, Dark Words. So that deck wasn't good, but it was really
Uh,
fun.
it was very fun. Darkwing's Dark Words wanted to be Stark or Lannister in first edition. It could be
Or
played in.
Greyjoy, let's not forget.
I didn't like the Greyjoy one.
Well, it won the Worlds, so
Did it?
yeah, that's
Oh
what
yeah,
that was. Jakob was.
the last Worlds, right.
Jakob won it. So all respect to Jakob.
Oh, he's really good.
Yes, he was particularly good at that moment. So
Mm.
yeah. Do we have any other questions in chat? I tuned in late. Which of the new agendas do you two think was the most playable? We think all of them are playable.
Yeah, I
Would be the
think
short
that
end of this.
Aloof and Dark Wings are the best, and I think Aloof is probably better than Dark Wings, but I think Roy thinks Dark Wings is probably better than Aloof.
Um, let's see. Next. Any other questions? Glazer, do you have anything that you want to add?
No, turn into the World Stream. It'll be fun.
Yeah, we are hoping to do one more sort of Second Sons episode before Worlds. This kind of counts as like maybe half a Second Sons episode. For those of you who are longtime Second Sons followers, usually we do a big end of the year review episode. We didn't do that this winter because I actually managed to have a halfway decent Christmas break and didn't need the intense thren friend therapy that happens that I used to do by doing these things. But this sort of counts as that. But we're gonna do at least one more Second Sons episode before Worlds. Do you think, Glazer?
We're gonna try. Like, hopefully, if the restricted list drops, we'll get an episode going.
Oh yeah, emergency episodes by Second Sons. That's a tradition. But we are winding things down as we slowly say goodbye to the game. But both Aaron and I will be at Worlds this February. We're incredibly excited. I mean, Aaron and I are roommates, so it's necessary that both of us are there for each other. So yeah. Um, I'll take some final other questions, but other than that,
No, looks like no questions.
all right, cool. I'm gonna wrap this up. I want to thank everybody for joining us. If you're listening to the podcast version on the Second Sense feed, make sure that you follow. We really appreciate you all watching this. I love talking about cards. I love talking about cards with Glazer. We've been doing this for what, 3 years, Aaron?
Yeah, about that.
3 or 4
A little more.
years.
A little
Yeah, maybe a
more.
little bit
Yeah.
more. Uh,
Noah's about to be 4, and we were podcasting the night he was born, so therefore 4.
for yeah 4 years, like I love doing it. This is one of the things I'm going to miss most about the game, moving from an LCG to a DCG. But we really appreciate y'all tuning in, y'all listening, and take care of yourselves and come say hi to us at Worlds. We'd absolutely love to see you and listen to Aaron's commentary with who's your partner?
Evan.
Evan. So listen to Evan and Aaron's commentary at Worlds in just a
And
few weeks.
day 1 will be Alejandro and Evan, so.
Day one is Alejandro and Evan. So
Yeah.
it's good. So he's really picked the best of the best for commentary at Worlds. So it'll be really quite amazing. So everyone who is watching this, or listening to it. Take care of yourselves, take care of the world, and we will see you soon.
All right.
Bye bye.
Peace.